I'm not a good pretender, I never could live a lie. I said too much and let it get the best of me until it took the rest of me. I thought it was worth the fight, to fight for what's right, to right all the wrongs, to sing in our songs, to know we belong. No one understands, they don't have the desire, got their hands in the fire, and they do it again. We give it all we can, all we have is desire, got their hands in the fire, we burn ourselves and never say, never say, never say, never again. I never say, never say, never say, never again. But I learned more from one enemy than from 1,000 friends. That heaven takes care of the fools and scoundrels in the end. You learn more from one lie than from 1,000
Greetings,
truths.
space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please consider tapping that little subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the S.O.R Newswire. You can get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot, and so much more. Welcome, guys. It is Sunday. It is fun day. It is hype. That intro song, man, the new intro song kind of gets your blood going, man. I love it. So, with that being said, we're going to have a fantastic night tonight. It's a night of Robs. We got Cryptid Huntress just interviewed a guy named Rob. Then tonight we have our guest, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And then, of course, me, your host, Mr. Rob G. So it's Robs all over the place tonight. It's a Rob Sunday. Feeling really good about it. Should be an awesome conversation, guys. Hopefully you guys are ready for this work week. Like I said, we're going to put positive energy out there for everybody to have a fantastic week. I know that you will. And we'll be right back here doing the same thing next weekend. You know how we do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in the Chizat and see who and that's chat, by the way. Let's jump in the chat and see who takes home the medal positions tonight. Let's go back up in here and see what we got. Going back, moving back, looks like we have Eternal taking home the gold, saying hi, Rob G. Hey, Eternal, thank you so much for coming in. We got Race Fan. Of course, we got Race Fan. You know, we got Race Fan coming in with the bronze. Said 2 Robs in the house tonight. That's right. 2 Robs in the house tonight. A meeting of the Robs. We'll just call it that, or R&R, double R, the double R. We got Tamartman saying, howdy, Rob and Rob. Howdy, right back to you, Tamartman. Thanks for coming on in. Wildberry Candy Co. saying, good evening, loves. Good evening, Wildberry Candy Co. Thanks for coming on in. Wow, okay, awesome stuff. We got coming up on April 18th, Coast to Coast AM host George Knapp, birthday, 71 years old. Salute. Shout out to George Knapp doing your thing out there for ufology, moving the needle. We appreciate you. Thanks for bringing the job of knowledge on us, Roger Murray, like you do all the time. Who else do we have here? We got Carl Bittner saying, hey, howdy to the two Robs tonight and all of you Spacey After Hours Spaced Out peeps. Hey, Carl Bittner, right back at you there. Let's go down the list here. Looks like we have Brandon Coast stepping on in here with the pirate flag. Appreciate you coming on in, Brandon. Deb from Sacramento, thank you for coming on in tonight. Appreciate you. Let's see. Yep, Ginger Turtle 43 is in the building. Happy Sunday, folks. Hope y'all are keeping positive. Effing hard these days, but we all need to keep it up. I agree with you. Thank you for coming on in, Ginger Turtle 43. Who else do we have in here tonight? We got River Morris. Okay, River Morris. Cooey from us Yowie Mob Down Under. Okay, I like that. Appreciate you coming on in, River Morris. This is your first time here. We do the after hour Saturday and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11. And Sunday, if you just came from the Cryptid Huntress, if not, she runs from 7 to 8 p.m. every Sunday. Dave Scott conducts a Woo Train Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific until midnight. So 7 days a week, something's going on right here at Spaced Out Radio. We would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe and notification bell so we could have you back. And yeah, thanks for coming on in tonight. Let's see, who else do we have? Okay, Audacious Amber saying woo-hoo. Thank you for coming on in. Audacious Amber, appreciate you. Michael Dyer saying, hey now. Hey, Michael, thanks for coming on in. I appreciate you showing up. Let's see, who else do we have here? War Criminal 7 saying, hey, y'all. Hey, War Criminal 7. Thanks for coming in. Cosmic Joe Chronicles saying, good evening, Rob G. Good evening, right back to you, Cosmic Joe. Let's see. Corey, you the man, Mr. Rob G, light and love to all. Same back to you. That's a good message to kick off on a Sunday. Light and love to all, right? Positive energies out there to the universe. They always seem to come back to you. Who else do we got here? Okay, Brown Dwarf has stepped in the building. Brown Dwarf, thanks for coming on in tonight. Let's see. John Lamb saying, evening, folks. Thanks for coming on in, John. As we move down the list. Daniela. For all you interested in Bigfoot, check out the guy that caught Bigfoot on his sunglasses. He didn't see it in front of him, but heard noises, sensed something around him. All right, Daniela, thank you for coming on in. We appreciate you showing on up. Let's see, who else do we got here? Melvin from Mars. Nice. Okay. Oh, it's Rayford. Ah, nice. Okay, Rayford with the new name, guys. Let's give it up for Melvin from Mars. Welcome, Melvin from Mars. Appreciate you showing on up. Who else do we got here? We got Stephanie Schneider. All right. Do you believe the Russians made this ungodly monster during the war? Thank you for coming on in, Stephanie Schneider. We do appreciate you showing up tonight. And it seems like you may be new as well, so if you are, welcome. Phyllis Mouchette Perry saying hi, everyone. Hi, Phyllis. Thank you so much for coming on in tonight. We got Smedley Do Right. Thank you so much for coming on in, saying hello, Rob. Hello, right back to you. Thanks for showing up. Let's see, who else do we got here? Moving down the list. Let's see. Okay, we're getting down there. It's Lavera Lucchini getting everything started tonight with your awesome support of Spaced Out Radio. We do appreciate you saying I was just thinking about another Sunday fun day with Rob G. Jessica was so great too. So I say Sundays it cracks off. You got Jessica Jones, 7 to 8 Pacific. Then boom, right on over here, 8 to 11. Then boom, get ready for your work week. Dave Scott, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you're right back here on the weekend. So it's always awesome. Thanks for your support, Spaced Out Radio, Lavera Lucchini, and who else do we got? I am moving down the list. We are getting down the list. Dragonfly, thank you for showing up tonight. Evening Robin S.O.R. chat. We appreciate you showing up here. All right, Deb from Sacramento says, "Hey, Laveres, I see you're 10 and raise you 10. Blah, ha, 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 ha. Thank you for your support, Deb from Sacramento. We got Aloha Dave 13 saying, Buenas noches de Mexico. Good evening from Mexico. Thanks for keeping us bilingual, Aloha Dave. We need a little bit of that out here right now. See who we got here. Moving down the list. We are almost to the bottom. We got Little Camp 5-1 step in the building. Spring footballs in full force. Battlehawks just won back-to-back games. Okay. Nice. Little Camp 5-1. Let's see. Bim Jim. Thank you for coming on in, Jim. Thanks for showing up. I like Deb from Sack's idea. Please abduct that like button, please. We would appreciate it. Going down the list. Sweet P 1776 saying here. Thank you so much for coming on in, Sweet P. We do appreciate you showing up here at the After Hours tonight. And I think we're current. We are current. Awesome, awesome. So, I appreciate everybody coming on in this fantastic Sunday night in the After Hours, just rocking with us once again as we go ahead and get it in, get the good interview in. I'm going to have a great time tonight. We have a guest, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who I actually am just meeting. So, this is our first time interviewing together. It should be fun. Get to know each other a little bit here. I know he is a fan favorite with you guys out there. So it should be a fun time tonight. And then in hour 3, maybe we'll have a Travis Moose sighting. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Jessica S., thank you so much for coming on in. Saying welcome, Mr. Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Hi, Mr. Rob G. All right. Do appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. All right. So let's get this party started, right? Without further delay, let's go ahead and bring in our guest of the night, Mr. Bigfoot Michigan Rob. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, Rob. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Like I said earlier, it's fantastic meeting you for the first time. I see you in the chat all the time. I've seen your YouTube channel, and it's just awesome that finally get to talk to you tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a pleasure to be on late night on Sunday. You know, for me, it's 11 o'clock, but that's okay. 11:15, and yeah, I'm excited to come on for the first time and meet you. Should be a lot of fun.
Definitely. So let's get this thing kicked off. Just like with any interview, I just first time talking. I definitely want to get to know who you are, kind of how you got into this, maybe even your first experience, paranormal, Bigfoot, ET. So kind of start us from the beginning and what led you to where you're at today, if you wouldn't mind.
No, not a problem. I can do that. Of course, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. That wasn't my birth name, by the way. It's kind of it's actually funny how I even came up with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And I'll tell you that right now. Then I'll backdate a little bit. I in 2018 had a Bigfoot encounter, which was crazy scary, and it sent me down this crazy path. So I had made a video. So I suffered from some PTSD, and I was dark. I went to a dark spot, and I was lost. And so it was suggested, hey, man, just go on YouTube and make a video. And I'm like, well, I don't use YouTube. I don't have a handle. I don't go in chat rooms. I did not even know that there were chat rooms on YouTube. I use YouTube just to watch music videos, and that's honestly. Yeah. I didn't go on YouTube to look how to fix a flat. I didn't, how to bake a cake. I didn't use it for anything, let alone they have all these awesome channels and everything else. So I did this video because they said you got to speak on your encounters. So I live in Michigan. My name's Rob. I saw what I alleged to be Bigfoot. In my mind, I allege it to be because still to this day, I'm uncertain sometimes. So Bigfoot Michigan Rob was born. And that's ended up becoming my handle, which turned into my channel. But I wasn't into this Bigfooting at all, really, until 2018 when I had my encounter.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this, though. As a kid growing up, 5, 6, 7 years old, my dad always brought me and my brother up on spooky movies like Bela Lugosi. He was Dracula. Lon Chaney Jr. is the werewolf or the wolf man. Boris Karloff, the Frankenstein monster. So, yeah, the old black and whites, and then that kind of proceeded throughout life. So me and my brother, we were both hooked on these, cool monster movies. And as I got a little older, I came across Leonard Nimoy, and he did that show In Search Of, and they showed the Patterson-Gimlin film. I was a young kid back at the time, and, Patty, the Bigfoot, and I'm like, holy cow, such a creature exists. So I was hooked then on with the fascination with Bigfoot. And so throughout my life, I was always interested. I kept it at bay because I ended up going to college, and got a job out of college. In fact, I went to the University of Michigan. Then I graduated. I got a job at Ford Motor Company right out of college. And then I ended up kind of walking away from that. And I bought a bar, and I owned a bar for about 13 years. Now, throughout my life, though, growing up, I saw a UFO at about 7. I saw a ghost at about 8. And I had many hauntings and paranormal experiences from, again, ghosts to shadow people and really everything in between. But it all came to a head June 15th of 2018 when I had this Bigfoot encounter, which set me on the path that I am today on YouTube or media personality, whatever you want to call me. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a researcher. Okay, I will say that. I talk to many researchers. I have many people on my show that have experienced UFOs, Bigfoot, and everything else. But when I go out in the woods today, I'm more aware of my surroundings, and I look for evidence or Bigfoot, but it's not my thing. I bring my cell phone if I go in the woods today. So I'm not, really a researcher, but very open-minded and inquisitive. So getting on to my encounter with the Bigfoot was, again, June 15, 2018, and I'm dating this girl, Cindy, at the time. We were dating for a couple of years, and I told her, hey, listen, we're going to Cadillac, Michigan. I rented a cottage or a cabin, and I rented a little skiff fishing boat. And I said, look, I know you're not an outdoors type of girl. I'm an outdoors type of guy. So come on, meet me halfway. At least let's do this. And then I had conned her into, which is not really a con, it was true. Cadillac is a nice place to visit. A lot of small shops, antique shops, restaurants, bars, whatever, so something a girl would like. So she reluctantly says, okay, fine. Sounds like fun. So we get on the lake. It was the middle of the week, right? I forget what day, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, we get on the lake, Lake Cadillac. Now, Lake Cadillac is a big lake. If you guys look on Google Earth, you'll see it's in the northwestern part of Michigan. It's not in the Upper Peninsula, but it's 150 miles south to the west off of, again, Lake Michigan. But this is Lake Cadillac, a big inland lake. Mm-hmm. Surrounding Lake Cadillac, I mean, you've got a lot of beautiful homes, small industries, small mom and pop shops. And it's just a beautiful place really to live, to be honest with you. And the lake in Cadillac, Michigan is nestled in the Manistee National Forest. Now, the Manistee National Forest, as I always tell people, kind of jokingly, but in fact, it's true. If you look at the state of Michigan, I say we have the east and the west coast because you have Lake Michigan to the west, Lake Huron to the east, right? Although it's in the Great Lakes, they were called inland seas many years ago. So Manistee National Forest encompasses the west side to the east side of the state. It's the biggest national forest we have. And again, in Cadillac, it's nestled in the Manistee National Forest. So to give you an idea, to paint the picture a little bit. And so we're out fishing about an hour. We're not getting anything. Not a nibble, no bites. And I can tell that Cindy is kind of getting bored already. She goes, "Thanks, Rob. When's lunch?" Type of thing. Yeah. And so I'm kind of frustrated myself. I mean, I'm trying to impress her with how cool fishing is. But let's face it, when you're not catching nothing, it's boring.
Right.
So we start exploring. And we come across a canal that connects to another very big lake, almost as big as Lake Cadillac. In fact, it could be bigger, but it's called Lake Mitchell. Now, Lake Mitchell, again, expansive, but didn't have quite the buildup of homes and small businesses around it like Lake Cadillac. So it was really more picturesque if you're just looking for the forest. Mostly forest surrounded all the shoreline. And yes, some houses were sporadically about, okay? And maybe a couple small stores, maybe a bait shop. So beautiful scenery, beautiful day. And in fact, I always tell people that, and there's a reason behind me telling it this way, beautiful blue sky, the sun, orange, ripping orange. The greens of the forest were predominant this day. And we now are drifting about 90 feet from shore. And I go about, I don't know, 8 miles, maybe not 8 miles, 4 miles or so on the lake. Again, it's a big lake to the northwest corner to this cove, which they call Mitchell Bay or Mitchell Cove. And we're drifting. So now I said, "Cindy, okay, we're done tooling around. I'm going to try to catch some fish." So I go about taking our rod and reel, our gear, and I'm now setting it up. Okay. I'm redoing everything from the previous unsuccessful fishing attempt. She said, "Okay, fine." So we're drifting, and she's standing on the skiff looking toward the shoreline. And as I start to get the gear processed or put together, she says to me, "Hey, Rob, someone's throwing rocks at the boat." And I look up, I look to the shoreline. I don't see anything. I said, "Hey, honey, it's probably some fish jumping around. There's nobody there." She goes, "Yeah, okay, kind of like whatever, right?" I go back, I look down, I proceed to putting the tackle together. Cindy, a little more emphatically, "Rob, someone's throwing rocks at the boat." I'm a little perturbed. I look up at her. I look to the shoreline. There's nothing there. I said, "Cindy, look, stop with this rocks being thrown at the boat. Let me get the tackle, the rod and reel situated. I'll join you, and together we can go look at the shoreline." Okay, fine. So, again, my head down, working on my gear. And for whatever the reason, Rob, I look up in the beautiful blue sky, and there is an object falling from the sky. I can't quite make it out, but it ends up being a rock about the size of a baseball. Falls about 4 feet in front of the boat. I go to my right to apologize to Cindy because now I know she wasn't making it up or seeing things. It was a rock. Again, I go to apologize. I look at her. She's standing there on the skiff. Again, this is June 15th. It's ready to start of summer, but Cindy was a sun goddess, so she already had a ripping tan going. And from head to toe, Rob, she was pale white. And I could tell she's asphyxiated looking at this shoreline. And I know she's looking at something. So I look to the shoreline, man. And I see standing there. And again, we're 90 feet from shore, everybody. Standing there, had to be about 9 foot tall, is this huge humanoid looking creature, head to toe covered in reddish brown hair. Standing there. Humongous. Had to been 4 foot wide.
Jesus.
And it looked like a human, but an odd looking human. It looked like a human being that had Down syndrome, or it was deformed. The face was gray, wrinkled, kind of crusty looking. It had offset eyes, drooping. One was higher than the other. Opaque eyes. It looked like a person, but yet not any person I've ever seen. Beautiful flowing reddish brown hair, though. I mean, that coat was something else. I'd have that hanging as a rug in my basement somewhere. So I'm fixated at this creature, right? So, as I said, his arms are on his side. You had a question?
No, I was gonna say, and you're not, because this is your first sighting, so it's not click. It's not Bigfoot is not anywhere in your mind at this time.
Bigfoot is not, and I'll get out to that a little later. Bigfoot is the furthest thing from my mind. I never looked for it, researched it again prior till this day, right? So, but now here's the thing about this humanoid looking person, I guess. I know it's not a human, though. How can it be? I'm thinking that way. Its arms on its side raises parallel to the shoreline. And now, Rob, his arms extended out, and that grayish, flaky, wrinkled face, it gets tight. He rolls back his head almost back into his shoulders. His tight, that gray skin rolls back tight. It almost turns like to a purple gray. It's very tight. The offset eyes, the opaque white eyes, offset eyes, roll back black. The jaw, the mouth. He drops his jaw. It's a distended jaw, about 6 inches from his mouth. Wow. It widens. You could fit a bowling ball in this mouth. It shows 4 teeth when I saw it. 2 dog-like teeth up top, but much bigger than a dog, and 2 like incisors on the bottom. Now, here's the thing. With the mouth gaped wide open, it lets out this insane, hideous roar, yell, and scream from the shoreline. It bellowed out so dramatically that I could feel the reverberation come across the lake and hit me. I took a step back. That's how powerful it was. And this is all in unison without it even moving its mouth. It came from inside itself. The lung capacity of this thing was immense. As I mentioned, I kind of take a little stumble back. My girl at the time, 5'1", 110, 112 pounds, we're on a skiff. She gets knocked off of the boat into the water. I now attempt to move to my right to get her back in the boat. But here's what really turns strange and odd. Not that this story isn't odd already. I'm paralyzed. I can't move. I always make mention about the bright blue sky, the orange sun, the green of the forest. Also, during being paralyzed, all those colors faded grainy. It felt like time stood still, like I was seeing in black and white. And I can't move, man. I can't move. And the transformation of that face was terrifying. It looked like that weird, odd-looking person. It turned demonic-looking. So when I always say my Bigfoot encounter, and yeah, I guess it kind of looked like a Bigfoot, but when it metamorphosized, it was something that from the gates of hell, man. So anyways, this is all going through my mind. I can't process information. I can't move. I'm paralyzed. I'm seeing in black and white, and I'm shaking my head. Rob, get out of it. Get out of it. Snap out of it. I did. I got my cognizance back. The colors came back, the blue sky, yada, yada. I go over, get my girlfriend, I get her back into the boat. Scared as size Ben was when I looked to the shoreline. That thing's gone. As scary as this was, I was really freaked out now because I don't know where it's at. I don't know if this thing can swim. I don't know if it's after
I
us.
was just going to ask you that, yeah.
Man, So I sped that little skiff around, opened up that throttle, and I jettisoned across Lake Mitchell through that canal all the way across Lake Cadillac to the place where we launched the boat. Get the boat, dock the boat. I put like a towel or whatever it was, beach blanket or something on Cindy at the time. She's shivering. I said, let's get out of this damn little boat, Let's go find some place to sit down. So we walk about a half block up. We find this, little restaurant-style bar. I'm hoping there's nobody in this place. It's middle of the day, middle of the afternoon, about 12:30, 1 o'clock. But I think it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday, as I said. Not a lot of people in there, thankfully. To the right of us, there's maybe one or two people, maybe a person at the bar. Over to the left, there's a table in the far left corner. I take my girlfriend, Cindy, we go back, we sit down across from each other. And I got to tell you, as long as I knew Cindy's not a drinker, never seen her drink a drop of alcohol. The barmaid comes up to us, goes to Cindy first, what you having? Cindy says, a shot of Jack Daniels and a bottle of Bud Light. And then the barmaid looks to me and I said, I'll have the same, but I'll have a double. So again, the barmaid goes away. Cindy and I still are not speaking with each other. We're just kind of looking at each other. I think we're still processing this. Mm-hmm. We're kind of in shock, and I don't know. The barmaid comes back, sets down our drinks. Cindy takes that shot of Jack, throws it down like a champ, like she's been drinking for 20 years. Took that bottle of Bud Light, half guzzled that down. I take care of mine because, I'm used to drinking. And then she says, honey, what do you think that was? Now, mind you, Rob, you asked me the question a little bit earlier. She and I never discussed Bigfoot ever in our life. Did we watch horror films or paranormal movies? Yeah, we did. But I never spoke about cryptids or anything, right? So I go, I don't know, honey. What do you think that was? She leans back in her seat a little bit. And she says, I think it was that Bigfoot creature. And I says, hey, you know what, honey? I think maybe you're right. Maybe it was. Then she says to me, what do you think we should do? Call the police, the sheriff, the DNR, report this? I kind of look at her, Rob, shaking my head like this. Yeah, I don't think we're doing that. We don't live here. We're, not part of their environment from southern Michigan. This is northern Michigan. They laugh us out of town. Yeah, I guess you're right, she says. So we get, it wrecked the weekend, Rob. We couldn't even stick around, go shopping, or do anything else because we were just still processing this. This should not happen to anybody. What we saw is something that you would probably see in the movies, right? So we pack up the truck, we head home, get home. Then we immersed ourselves in Bigfoot, demons. We're looking on YouTube now, going on the internet. Can't really find anything that satisfied us. I mean, there was so much stuff on the internet and the YouTube that some of it I didn't believe, some I did. It took me forever to find some people that I finally trusted, which led me kind of down the road into podcasting, later on, a couple of years later. But it was just very difficult. And we felt, alone, really. Where should we go with this? To make things even worse, man, this happened June 15th of 2018. My girlfriend didn't live with me. She lived with her mom. Her mom did not like me because I owned the bar and I was the devil. right? Yeah. So, we've all heard those stories.
Yeah.
I'm the bad C. Why you dating this guy? So we didn't live together, which was fine. That wasn't a thing with me. But I get a call, and again, her mom couldn't stand me. I get a call from her mom, August 15th of 2018. She says, "Hey, Rob." I go, "Yeah, who is this?" Cindy's mom, blah blah blah. Like I should know what she sounds like on the phone. Never talked to the woman on the phone. Cindy passed away.
Wow.
I go, "What? What do you mean she passed away?" Yeah, I guess she died of a heart attack this morning.
What?
Exactly 2 months from the date of our encounter together. I said, "That's no way. I need an autopsy report." "Well, you're not getting anything. I never want to see you again. You brought this upon her." Gave me all this grief, man, hung up. So to this day, Rob, I don't know how she even died, Cindy, because I had no access to reports or anything. I was not allowed to attend her service for her passing. I was treated like a criminal. And then I got dark. I went in a dark, deep spot, man.
Yeah, I bet.
I owned the bar, and I went to my manager, and I tell my manager, "Look, man, I've known you a long time. I don't know when I'm coming back to work. I got some things I need to figure out. I'm not going to tell you now what it's all about. You wouldn't believe me anyway. Here are the keys. Don't rip me off. Please just put the money in the bank." I said, "I'll be able to monitor everything, but I trust you. You got to just run this place for me." "Yeah, Rob, no problem." So after that, I became a hermit. I stayed inside, and I just researched, tried to talk to as many people as I could. And man, I couldn't find anybody. I didn't go back to work for 6 months, Rob. 6 months. I did not go back, step foot in my bar, because I was lost. I was alone, had nowhere to go. I thought I was going crazy. I finally got a hold of this guy, okay, who told me I wasn't going crazy. His name was Kerry Arnold from Bigfoot Odyssey. He's now since passed away, by the way. And I heard his story. He told me that, "Rob, you're not going crazy, man. I believe you." He set me on a path, and I've got in touch with some other good people, which finally I slowly got out of it. And I went back to the bar. I owned the bar for a couple more years. I ended up selling the bar in 2020. Thanksgiving of 2020, I sold my bar pre-COVID, by the way. And yeah, so ever since then, so a couple years, I really didn't do nothing. And then that's how the channel was born. That's how my book I wrote was born, because what I do today, I love doing the podcasting gig. I love my guests. I love the audience. I love the people in chat and all that good stuff. But for me personally, it's therapeutic, because I was lost and alone for so long that I had to find something to do to occupy this and to hopefully help others. So that's what I do today. I know where people have been, so I'm a place where you go to reach out and need help. And I'm not unique to that, Rob. A lot of people do the same thing I do. But for me, it helps me spiritually, emotionally, right? So yeah, so that's kind of how my channel was formulated, and it's what I do today now. And today I love it. Today I don't I'm not I don't blame it on a Bigfoot or whatever I saw, but I will say this, and some people get mad when I say this. In my opinion, though, these cryptids are not the friendly forest giants as some people make them out to be. We don't know what these things are. I don't trust them. And that's where I am today. And that's how I got started in all this, dude.
Damn, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Oh my God, dude, you're killing me with that story there, man. Condolences, man. First of all, I didn't expect that at all. I mean, wow. Do you feel like it? Do you feel like the weighing down of the experience might have had something to do with it? If you have you just thought about that?
I think about that experience every day. I mean, I probably told that story, I don't know how many times, man. I mean, since 2018, I've been telling the story. I tell you what, I'm relieved today. I'm in a happy place today. I know that my girl's in a good spot. I don't blame it on the Bigfoot. I think her time was up.
Mm,
Uh, I've 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 shed my tears, and I have to move on with my life. But the mystery behind it, is still what bugs me. The Bigfoot experience or encounter is something, but not knowing how Cindy died is another question. So I've kind of eliminated the Bigfoot. I've had so many people tell me so many different things. Too many to name. I'm not going to get into it on the show. And I'm at peace with myself, and I'm at peace for her today. Um, so, there was a time in my life when I would tell this story and I couldn't get through it without crying,
jeez, I
you know,
bet. I bet.
and and yeah, so
That is freaking heavy, man. Oh my god, that is heavy. And ooh, I mean, I don't know how I could go through something like that. I'm just thinking about that, and I'm just thinking of how I would be affected because you were very descriptive on the experience, and I'm just thinking like, if I saw something like that, I probably would be changed forever. And if it was something that dwelled on me or made me think all the time, that would consume everything that I did, and I could see that affecting someone's health negatively, an experience like that.
well, like I said, man, when after the death, I mean, up until the death, we were just wow. We love the mystery. We didn't know why. I didn't know why I saw in black and white. I didn't know why I couldn't move. I didn't know why I was paralyzed. Later on, I found out about sonic blast, infrasound, all these radio waves, sonic waves, whatever. There's a whole plethora, as Dave would say, regarding it. But it was the mystery. But then when she died, within 2 months, exactly 2 months exactly from the exact date, it's when I just lost my lid. Right?
Yeah,
When I told you I went in a dark place, I went in a dark place. I went incognito for 6 months and did not have a care in the world.
yeah,
And I probably could have lost my bar if I didn't pull out of it.
right.
And I probably, I'm a functional person today. I wasn't functional for 6 months. And
Wow.
the thing that was really, really annoying is trying to find someone to help. You don't want to be judged. You don't want to be ridiculed. And so you're scared to come forward with somebody. And when I was going on these YouTube channels, man, I couldn't find anything I trusted. And it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of people laughing at me, a lot of people lying to me, a lot of
Hmm.
people just, taking advantage of my situation. Ha 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 type thing. Until finally, just like a salesman, you're out there, take yes, you get a no a million times in a row, then finally you get a yes. You finally get somebody that believes what you have to say and tells you that you're not nuts. And I thought it was going nuts. I just was not. I was not a person anybody wanted to be around. Family, friends, neighbors, strangers, you name it. And I feared for my health for a bit there. I did. I'm not gonna lie to you on that. But I pulled it together, man. And when it was suggested, make a video, talk about it. It will give you therapy. And then one day I just woke up. I said, you know what, man? I'm going to start talking cryptids. I'm going to tell my story and I'm going to try to help others. And that's exactly how my channel formulated. Got a hold of a couple good buddies of mine that I'd known throughout the years and then put it all together.
Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing story. Amazing, actually. Let me ask you this, Rob. Um, you made a statement that there's a lot of people in this field, in the Bigfoot field, which I can attest to because I've interviewed others, and they feel like the Bigfoot are friends and very friendly.
Anyway,
You stated that you didn't feel that way, and I kind of feel that there's probably that aspect to it. What makes you feel that way?
well, when I say the Bigfoot's not your friendly forest creature like a lot of people suggest. I've interviewed people on my show that love Bigfoot. They habituate with Bigfoot. They have them playing in their backyard, for God's sakes. Not me. You're talking about some unknown species. Now, you can classify it as flesh and blood, or you can classify it as paranormal. It does not matter to me. Something you know nothing about should not be hanging out playing in your backyard. Would you have a Bigfoot take your kid to school? I mean, just think about it. You don't know anything about these things. And I probably have the bad attitude regarding that because of what happened. But I will say this: these are unknown species of whatever it is. Some people call it an ancient person. Some people are apers. Some people are woo. Everyone's in between. I don't trust something I know nothing about.
Right.
You know, I mean, I know nothing about a moose. I'm certainly not going to trust it and stand in front of it either. It's going to run me over because it's an instinct, you know. And I'm not saying that Bigfoot's a creature. I'm not saying it's a human. But I'm telling you what, it's not me or you. I can trust you. I'm not going to trust something that I have no knowledge about. The knowledge I have today is from my experience and from talking to hundreds of people that have had encounters or that research these things, but nobody's an expert. Nobody can tell you. Now, I'll admit we never hear about Bigfoot killing somebody. I mean, at least I haven't heard too many of those stories. And you get a lot of nice stories. But I think people got to wake up, too. May not just trust these things.
There's obviously some danger there. I mean, they're huge, and they could accidentally do something to you. So there's just that aspect of it.
You know, and again, I'm not anti-Bigfoot. I think it's a cool thing. I study that. I'm into it today, and I'm not disparaging it at all. But what you just said, what if you hear these stories about a person in their tent, and a Bigfoot happens by, and he's patting down on their tent? Their hand is like a vice. It hits that head the wrong way. You could crush somebody. It could go touch you on the shoulder and break your shoulder. That's what I mean. It's, you know, it might be friendly with all these stories we hear, and I know there are friendly ones out there from stories I've gotten. I just don't trust something I don't know anything about. That's what I'm saying with that. And yeah, I applaud all the people that have a habituation site and they trade candy for acorns. You know, that's great. That's great. Go for it. But what happens when you stop giving them that toy? Right? They get used to having things, you know, kind of like a habit. If you're habitually giving them something, then you stop one day because you're bored with it. I've heard stories of them coming to the house and wrecking the house, pounding on your house, peeping in your windows, giving you havoc. I don't want that in my life.
They say you don't feed the bears, right? So that's the same thing.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, so I'm under that belief too because you know, there's stories up here. I'm in California, and these could be obviously just stories, but there was they up north in Mendocino County, Humboldt. You know, they do a lot of farming up there. We'll call it farming, and
they do a lot of farming in Humboldt, I hear.
Yeah, they do for sure. And these supposedly. There had been a story going around one of the camps that there were these Sasquatch or Bigfoot out there that were tearing people limb from limb.
Yeah.
And some people are like, okay, well, that was just a story to cover up the other things. But there could be some truth to that. I mean, I would think if you encountered one in the woods, he probably wouldn't shake your hand. It probably would go a little different.
Yeah. I think if you encounter ones in the woods, and everybody listening, you know, I haven't been reading chat. Listen, I think that if you were to see a Sasquatch in the woods, he's not going to hurt you. They want to be left alone, right? If you actually come across a Bigfoot, they find you. You don't find them. You know, they do want to be left alone. And for the most part, I think they're a socialized being, right? I think they want nothing to do with us. I think we're entertainment for them, you know? So, you know, I guess I might have been a little harsh when I'm like, no, you know, bad Bigfoot. No, it's just that I got a soured experience. and I would not want to have Bigfoot sitting in my backyard. If I had kids out playing in the backyard.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, God, that description you gave earlier was pretty freaky too. You said it rolled his shoulders back, and then the skin tightened up on the face, and
Yeah,
the eyes turned black.
yeah,
That's
yeah. And again, I was 90 feet away. We're just barely drifting, so I got a very good description. And it's yes, man. It went from a humanoid looking, weird looking person. I always say Down syndrome. That's what it reminded me of, or maybe if somebody had a stroke, disfigured, right? And human like, really, it really was like this an unfortunate human being, I guess. And then, but boy, when it rolled that skin got taut, the eyes turned black, it roared, dropped that jaw, looked like nothing like a human being, looked like a demon, it looked like something straight from the gates of hell, something in a Marvel comic book, something to see on a horror night, fright night. And so that's the image I have. I have the image of something that was kind of hanging out, kind of dumbfounded, then turned into something ferocious. I will tell you this, Rob. If I was at 90 feet in the water and I was on land, I probably wouldn't be telling this story today.
yeah. I bet. That's why I said I wouldn't have came close to land. I probably wouldn't have docked until the police got there or some sort of army force or something. But with that being said, so you were obviously that's a traumatic experience that you are describing. But since then, had you come across any other Sasquatch or any other sightings?
Me, that's the only cryptid sighting that I've had. Have I been in the forest or the woods since 2018? Yes. Yeah. Have I seen anything? No. Because today, now, as I said, I'm not a researcher, but now, though, if I go with my brother hunting or something, because I got him trained on what to look for, because he's been in the woods 25 years, never seen such a thing. But now it's funny because now he looks for the broken tree limbs, he looks for prints, and I've been with him, and I've come up empty. I have not come across anything, and so no, and I'm not looking for it. I'm out in the woods like your average researcher, but to this point in my life, no, it's the only one time.
Wow, wow, that's pretty awesome. And it's kind of you brought that up because yeah, a lot of people I hear that have sightings have like multitude of sightings, but to have one sighting and then maybe another one or a couple, unless you have some sort of relationship with these things, I
Or
think that just like you said, if they don't want to be seen, they won't be seen.
I,
So
I can,
I would imagine you wouldn't have very many. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
but I can tell you this, so I can reflect on something. What's great about having this encounter, and when I say great, and it's not because of what happened. I mean, I'm past that today. There was a time I've reflected back on my life from childhood now. Well, first of all, I've had many paranormal accounts and ghost sightings in my entire life. That happens with me all the time. Okay. But reflecting back on the Sasquatch, I was 5 or 6 years old, my brother, maybe 7 or 8, and we were in a cabin. My mom and dad, it was the Upper Peninsula. And our room had a big bay window in it. And the moon was always reflective in the bay window. And every time we went up there for 2 or 3 years in a row until my mom and dad kind of decided to do something else for a little vacation. If we spent 5 days a week there, maybe we spent like 5 days at a time. So it seemed like every other day for like 3 years, my brother and I would hear crackling of something walking outside the window. In the window, which illuminated the bedroom, the moon would always illuminate inside our bedroom of this cabin in the Upper Peninsula. And sure enough, a lot of times at night, something would darken. Something was so big that it covered up the moon and darkened our bedroom for a few seconds.
Whoa.
And it would kind of like walk past, and it walked on two legs. The very first time I saw it, I jumped out of my bed. And I asked my dad, "Are you pulling a trick on me and Dave, my brother?" And my dad was sleeping. So, and you'd had to be pretty big, a big person. My dad was not that big in stature. He's 5'8", 180 pounds probably. I don't know. So this was something big enough to blacken this big bay window in the bedroom, but it covered the moon. But I never thought of that much as a kid. Me and my brother weren't scared. Again, we're not thinking Bigfoot or any monster. We just thought it was kind of creepy. So you asked me if I'd had an encounter before. If I reflect back to that day as a kid, because after my encounter, I thought about a lot of incidents in my life that I never thought much about until this encounter, right? So today I think to myself, Rob, maybe that was a Sasquatch, because Sasquatch or Bigfoot, if you will, are prevalent in the Upper Peninsula.
Right.
You know, so maybe that was a Sasquatch encounter that I was unaware of. Just like many people that hunt in the forest have probably walked past a Bigfoot and never seen it.
Yeah. Now that I
You're not
think about
looking
it.
for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I know you've had other encounters as well, so I mean, we can get into. And let me ask you this, because this is a question: do you feel like these Bigfoot, or if you had to guess, I know you only had the one sighting, but
Yeah.
overall, from people you've talked to on your own show, do you think these things are physically here, like full time, or do you think they step in and out from other dimensions, or how do you view that?
I view it as interdimensional and paranormal. I think that there's a physical aspect to them. I think that, I mean, let's face it, if you hear something with that heavy footfall crunching up the ground beneath you, that's something physical, I would think. But I think they have the ability to manifest, convert their mass into energy. I think that they can walk to and from portals, different dimensions. In fact, it's funny. I talked to a psychic a couple weeks ago because I never give up my investigation of my own personal encounter. I'm always thinking, and doing the show, many people approach me. Now, some people, you can't believe everybody that comes approaches you, right? You got to really do your due diligence. And I don't know if we have enough time before you got to take the 5-minute break, but I was told something very interesting not too long ago.
You got 2
That
minutes.
Okay, I could probably do this. Not too long ago, I talked to a psychic. Okay, and they said about my encounter. First, they told me Robert wasn't a demon and Robert did not hurt you or try to hurt you, or it had nothing to do with Cindy's death. I'm like, okay, well, tell me more. This person, this psychic, told me that in the Upper Peninsula, about 100 miles north of there, there's a lot of copper and iron ore mines in the Upper Peninsula. He said that this particular Sasquatch was traversing these mines. And for whatever the reason, this Sasquatch slipped into a portal and got transported to where I was. And it came out of the portal. And when it came upon me and Cindy, it was startled. And that was his defense mechanism because he was just as scared of me as I was of it. And that was its way of showing aggression towards stay away from me. Now, that's what I was told. I don't know that I believe that or not, Rob, but I've had people tell me similar things. But to answer your question, I think that they're not. I'm out in the Aper camp. Okay.
Hmm. Let me ask you this, I guess right before break, maybe you can answer it after or before or after, but how do you think the Bigfoot and Dogman, right? So though Dogman are sometimes seen in the wilderness as well, from what I hear. And do you think these things ever cross paths at any time, Bigfoot and Dogman?
I'm sure they probably have to. My opinion or my guess, I'm sure they have. Um, I think from what I've been told, again, what I've been told, you can only go on what people tell you or think, since I've never
Hmm.
experienced that. They probably keep their distance. I've heard stories from First Nations peoples that say the dog man of all things is a protector of their land. You'll talk to a different tribe and they say that Bigfoot is the protector of their land, and some say that the dog man keeps out evil spirits. Now, for me, when it comes to the dog man, I think the dog man is something more evil and sinister. I don't think that Bigfoot's evil or sinister. I think with Bigfoot, you have your good and your bad, just like human beings. But every time I talk to somebody about a dog, man, there's nothing ever positive about it. It's always trying to scare you and creep you out, get into your dreams, get into your mind, right? So I think that's something I wouldn't want to see.
Man, okay. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and put a pin in that right there. Pause for the cause. Get ready to go into our break, and we'll be back with hour number 2 right here on Spaced Out Radio After Hours. You guys kick back. We'll be right back.
All right. Well, we got 5 minutes?
Yep, 5 minutes.
All right, cool. I got it.
Yep. Welcome back, everybody, to Spaced Out Radio After Hour number 2 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And then over here to my right is Bigfoot Michigan Rob. So Rob and Rob, R&R, we're getting it in tonight. Everybody, if you have any questions for Bigfoot Michigan Rob, BMR, go ahead and put them all in caps so I can make sure to tag those, saving for the end of the hour. All right, back with Rob. Appreciate you, man. Jumping back into it, we were just getting off on the dog, man. You were talking about how you have heard great stories about this dog man character. Some people feel like, I'll just tell you how I feel. Looking at dog man, I'm in on the Bigfoot. I think there's so many vast cave systems. I'm kind of torn between if I think they're here full time or not. I kind of go back and forth. When I look at the cave systems that we have here and how many there are, if I had to guess if they were here full time, I would look towards the caves potentially as somewhere where they may stay. And they go miles and miles in. And I just, if you've ever watched any of those cave exploring shows on YouTube, you just see how habitable those caves are. Like they really are set up for someone to live in them. And I don't know. So, have you ever thought about that aspect of it? Maybe they live in these
Yeah,
caves.
I think that's entirely possible that the dog man can live in the cave system. If you look at the reports that come from Kentucky, there's a handful of reports of dog man in Kentucky. Now, Kentucky, the entire state of Kentucky is an underground cave system. And it also goes over to the LBL, the Kentucky and Tennessee
Mm,
border, or the land between the lakes.
yeah.
And we've all heard about the land between the lakes, about the alleged murders of some campers, a family from an alleged dog man. So the cave system, I think, is both for the dog man and, of course, Bigfoot and any of these cryptid creatures. If you want to call it a creature or a being, I should say. It's entirely something that I believe can be the case. I think they traverse about caves, waterways, the power lines. You hear all these stories in the forest. You see a Bigfoot spotted walking a power line, a railroad track by the edge of the water. Water. Hey, where I was at, right? I believe they're all everywhere, prevalent everywhere. And again, reflecting back to coming in and out of portals, different dimensions. I think all these things are aspects. I think all these things happen on a daily basis for these creatures to roam about, the United States, North America, and the world, really.
Yeah, when you look at it, like I said, I looked at these cave systems because I was talking about these would be natural bunkers for humans, obviously. So if they would be refuge for humans, why wouldn't it be refuge for other creatures as well? It only makes sense. And if they have any sort of intelligence, then obviously they'd be able to figure their way in and out of these things. So it's just obviously until someone goes and explores these caves in that fashion, I guess we'll never know if that's the case or not. But
Yeah,
have you had? Yeah, go ahead.
no, no. I was just going to say, we're talking about, since we kind of went on the dogman subject a little bit. I had I've been talking to this guy who told me about an encounter that he had, and which kind of crosses between the supernatural, and at the end, it takes like a very weird turn, I should say, at the end of the story this guy was telling me, and it kind of gives you my feelings on the dog man and all these encounters that I've heard about. I mean, I could tell you about that unless you had a question prior.
No, go ahead. Definitely, I'm gonna get a special guest in here.
So I was talking to this guy. I got this email from this guy I was in conversation with. This is last year, and this is one of my favorite stories. And when I say story, I mean witness, an encounter. It was about this preacher man. Okay, he was in Mississippi. He was in a part of Mississippi that was in the lower income part, poverty stricken part of Mississippi. And this preacher man was a transient. He went from southern town to southern town, um, with a following, and it would preach his sermons. And so he got to Mississippi, and set up shop, to do his work, to do his preaching. And his first day, on the job, so to speak, during his sermon, a young couple came up to him and they asked the preacher man to come to their home and bless their home. So the preacher man said, "Well, tell me more. Why do you need my blessings, or why do you need me to go to your house?" And they had said to this preacher, that they've been having these terrible nightmares. That every night a huge dog would come to their window, but a white dog that resembled a wolf, but was white with red eyes, and it telepathically, Rob, communicated very grotesque figures and put these things in their minds at night. Very horrific. Well, the preacher man turned a cold shoulder and said, "You don't need me. You need a psychiatrist." Now, this is what a preacher tells a young couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not, anyways, that's not what their job is. Whether you
Right.
or not, you don't dispose of them so freely. So the preacher man continues about his sermons, and each and every Sunday, this young couple would be outside waiting for him to leave. Again, "Please, Mr. Preacher Man, please, please come to our home." Now, this couple starts looking a little more haggard. They look like they haven't eaten days, slept in days. They start getting really rough looking about this dog man like creature tormenting them every night. Again, preacher man says, Have you seen the local doctor or psychiatrist?" Well, first of all, this is a poverty stricken part of Mississippi. I doubt there's a psychiatrist there. Maybe a psychologist and maybe a doctor, I would imagine, certainly. But again, blew this couple off. One day prior to the sermon, there's a big aggregate of people. There's a big aggregate of people in front of the church where he was preaching, and they came to the preacher man and said, "How come you were turning away the young couple when they came to you with the nightmares about this creature, this dog coming to their window?" He says, "Well, I gave them what I thought they should do, to seek help that I can't help them with." Well, then he was told that that young man murdered his wife, and then he turned his weapon on himself and shot himself in the head.
Wow.
Preacher man drops to his knees crying, "Where did I go wrong?" He's, questioning himself. So they had like a town hall meeting where for a lot of the people in this community got together. They wanted answers from this preacher. They wanted to hang him out to dry. Wanted him to hang out to dry, but get this, Rob, which really makes this very interesting about the subject matter. They gave him several questions. What questions they asked, you can only imagine. And then he started weeping, and then he's on his knees praying to God. Then somebody came up to him, put their hand on his shoulder, and told him, "Stand up, Mr. Preacher." So it's the sheriff of this local town. And he says, "I've been having those same nightmares too about this dog-like creature." Another person in the congregation came forward and said, "We've been having these same nightmares, these visions of this dog man." A handful of people. Preacher man, "Why didn't you warn me of this? Why did you not tell me about this activity? Maybe today could have helped that couple." It sounds like a strange Stephen King novel, doesn't it? How this town kept all this paranormal activity with this dog-like creature invading all their dreams throughout the night. Not just this young couple that are no longer with us, but half of the dozen people in town. So the preacher man says, "Well, enough's enough. I certainly am not welcome here. I'm certainly don't want to be a part of this community." So he gets ready to leave. The morning he's ready to leave and take off against wherever he planned on going, who knows? There's something on his front porch. There's a basket. There's a blanket covering this basket. He looks at the basket and he sees the blanket kind of moving around, right? Reaches down, reluctantly pulls the blanket back, and there sitting in the basket is a white German Shepherd pup. He picks up the pup, puts it in his vehicle, drops it off at the sheriff's office, and left town. So, if this in fact was a dog man, yeah, I think we're talking something a little bit evil, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah, and I say the validity. And actually, I'll stop real quick because I wanted to say, Dirty Phil, thanks for coming on in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Dirty Phil. Yes, sir. Thank you. So I was gonna just say this. I used to look at, because this obviously it's an onion and we're peeling all the layers back. With the more that we find out and discovered, it gets deeper. It starts with ETs, it branches into Bigfoot, and then into all these other cryptids along as just an onion, peeling. Now I was at the when I was introduced to the dog man originally, I was like, wow, that sounds kind of wild, like really like a dog standing upright, and it just was wild to me. Then you had George Knapp write the book with the, I think, Skinwalkers book with Colm Kelleher, and they mentioned in the book, a wolf like creature that was wearing a trench coat and smoking a cigarette. And I always used to, when they came out with that, I always thought about how wild that sounded. But then the other side of me started thinking, well, why would someone just say that? Why would they make up a trench coat smoking a cigarette? As wild as that sounds, why would that be what they chose to say instead of something that could have been a little more passable? And it just makes me think, like, okay, well, is is there really something to what they were saying there? Were they seeing something like that? And it's like, based on the type of story that they're telling there, it kind of just makes me feel like maybe, as wild as it is, there may be some truth to that there.
It's funny you mentioned the trench coat thing because, and that's not too far out. I've heard about similar stories. Certainly, that one comes to mind. I heard that before. We've all heard about the militant dogmen dressed up in army fatigues. I mean, this is such a big rabbit hole. Who knows? A lot of these things I think are maybe governmentally made. I think they're created in laboratories, a lot of them. And that's another topic. But what reminds me of the trench coat was I was doing this story that I heard and had gotten about. There was this man. It was out in. You've all heard about in the Civil War. He was dressed like he was from the Civil War. He had this trench coat. He would always walk past this guy's house, and he always stop and he would peer into this guy's house. And again, he was like dressed like late day Civil War attire. He looked like he was fresh out of the war. And this guy was kind of creepy and would always walk past his house. Then one night, it went on for a long period of time. Then one night when he's out in the woods, he says he sees this wolf bipedally running through the woods. First it was on all fours, and it got up walking, Rob, and it had this guy's outfit on. This guy, the human being that he see all the time. This guy, the identical clothing on.
Wow.
And we've heard about all the ghost stories, about the Civil War, right? And find out years later, doing some research, that where his property was an actual major battlefield in the Civil War, where many people, laid to rest today. It makes me think, ghost, was this something? I mean, people, I don't see people making this stuff up for 15 minutes of fame. Half the people I talk to don't pay me. A lot of the people I talk to send me stories, man. They don't even want their name. They want to be anonymous.
Right.
They don't even come on the show, but they want to tell me a story. I know people make up stories, Rob, but let's face facts. Let's be honest about it. But
Yeah.
when you get so many, what I like about the stories are a lot of these have all commonalities. And it's all about the data that we collect from these stories from listening to people on the shows or otherwise.
That's what I say. Yeah,
So
I
it's
agree.
entirely now the question of the story you talked about. And we do hear weird stuff all the time. Every day I hear it.
Yeah, it just makes me think because if one thing is true, then other things are very possible. So it's just like at one point it sounded so I'll say silly to me really for a dog trench coat smoke cigarette. I was like, come on, man, really? But they took the time to write that in the book and then publish that when there are many other ways they could have approached that and described that incident, and it just I always think about that and it makes me feel like okay, maybe there's something to that.
Especially if you're putting your name on the book. If it's in a book and you've got your name on it, you have to believe it. And you have to stand by what you're writing or what you believe, right? So in that instance, yeah, I give the guy credit for writing the book and putting it out there. I would think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that made a lot of fun of that when it came out, and maybe time will tell and we'll find out that dude, it's a thing, it's a real thing.
Well, too, with the development of more podcasts and shows, and certainly none of them compete with the late radio. Art Bell, was, like to me, like he's the guy I really loved listening to back in the day. But now it seems like since there's so many shows, and a lot more people seem to come forward more. And despite, hey, like, let's face it, Rob, the thing that happened to me, it doesn't seem believable, and I get that. But it happened to me. I didn't walk in any of these people's shoes. And but what I was getting back to is with so many avenues for people to tell their story, I think a lot more people today are more free and feel a little bit better to tell their story since there's so many stories out there today. And if they can tell a story in anonymity, I think they feel good about it. Because I tell you this, for me, when I told my story, it felt like cement boulders or bricks were lifted off my shoulders when I got out and finally told the story, despite sobbing through it the very first time I told it.
Right. Well, I'll say this, and I say this all the time. With if one thing's possible, then the other things are very plausible as well. So you got to keep an open mind to this. So when we talk about the cryptid, so we go down the line: Sasquatch, Dogman. Have you had any other sightings of any other cryptids? Any other experiences there?
No cryptids. Well, I've had some strange sightings and different fluky type things. Again, I've seen several ghosts, but when it comes to cryptid, never seen a dog man, and I've only seen the one, the Bigfoot encounter to the best of my recollection or knowledge. I've had some paranormal stuff, which I've had throughout my lifetime, but when it comes to cryptids, to answer your question, no.
Well, let's run it. Let's get into that then. The ghost that you may have seen. I don't know if you've, and I've shown this bazillion times on this show, but I had a shadow person sighting. So just to kind of let you know that. But what type of paranormal experiences have you had?
Well, since you've had a shadow person sighting, I can tell you about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this happened to me. I was when I was married. I was in my early to mid 20s, and that was our marital house. And so the wife and I, we really were into buying antiques. We go to thrift shops and we collected all this really strange stuff, right? And again, it could have been anything from figurines, dolls, it could be like old looking little houses, stagecoaches. I mean, you name it. We started collecting. I always called it junk, but we cleaned it up and it looked nice. So what we actually ended up doing is took all these artifacts or collectibles that we gathered in a couple of years time frame, we had them in a box stored, and then one day, then we bought a couple curio cabinets and put it up in our in a room. And one day we got the curio cabinets in there, and we put all these trinkets, artifacts in there. Checked it out, and honestly, it looked pretty cool. I really enjoyed it, and so that goes up. Now, about a week or two later, I've got this room in my old house where you could blacken it out and make it extremely dark, where you literally can't see in this room unless you turn down a light. Because what it was a garage that was turned into like a family room, and there was and the shades, the draperies that we had on the one window, it totally blackened the room. So I'm in this room, and the darkness, out of the darkness of darkness, Rob, on the far back wall appears a dark shadow figure that was superseded the blackness of the room. It's hard to explain because it was darker than darkness, and it was outlined in a human form, and it was right there, man. I had seen this a couple times, and then throughout traversing about my house, I would see shadows out of the corner of my eyes all the time. And it didn't matter if it was night or day, man. I finally got to tell my wife because I think I'm going crazy, especially with that creepy shadow humanoid, right? And I asked her, I says, hey, honey, I got to tell you something. I've been seeing some strange stuff. She goes, what do you mean? Like I don't know. And this is back in the day again, shadow. I said, it's like a shadow person or shadow figure. And I said that I'm seeing shadows out of the corners of my eyes. She looks at me and she says, Rob, I've been seeing the same things. And I, like you, didn't want to tell you because I thought you would think I was going crazy. So she and I were both experiencing these things together and not telling each other this. So we're trying to figure out now. We're trying to figure out what it is. I think we're 26, 27 years old. So we're kind of freaked out about it. One day I go off to work, and she took the day off work. And there's some woman at the house. Well, my wife started investigating. So I guess she called up a psychic, I guess. Somebody. I don't know if you would call him a paranormal investigator today, Rob, but it was way back when I was in my 20s. But it was this woman, maybe a medium she was. Yeah. I forget what she was, man. So I get there, and my wife introduced me. She goes, hey, listen, we got this problem, and this woman's here to help. So this woman, she starts walking about each room with me and the wife, right? And she didn't get any sense of anything in any of the rooms until she came to the room with the curio cabinets with all her collected artifacts. As soon as she walked into that room, Rob, she got goosebumps. She felt a chill. She turned around and says, let's get out of here. That's the source of what you're experiencing. That room, there's something wrong in there. Then she started asking us about the trinkets in the curio cabinets, and we went on to tell her that we had collected them throughout our last couple of years, and we just put them out because we had them all stored in boxes, and we were waiting to set up the room. Then we finally took all this stuff out and put them in there. She goes, yeah, some of those artifacts, don't know which or how many, had some sort of attachment, and what were the shadows that we're seeing are a result of that. Well, I got to tell you, when I was told that, I was kind of skeptical. I said, thank you, ma'am. Here's your $50. Have a good night. Because I wasn't really a believer in that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and I do have to mention during this whole time period with these shadow people, there was like negative energy surrounding us. My wife was doing crappy at work. We lost a couple relatives. So life was kind of negative for a little while. But we're still having this shadow occurrences. The shadow figure we would still see, but it would be like not every day. It'd be once every 6-7 weeks we'd see it. But the shadows flickering out of the sides of our eyes was really bugging us. So I said, you know what? I'm taking all that stuff out of the room. I boxed up all the trinkets from the curio cabinets, and I put them out in the garage. And my garage wasn't where I stored my cars. The garage was really where I put junk, to be honest with you. So I put it back in the far right corner of the garage. Go in, and I got to tell you something, Rob. About a week or two, almost immediately, I would even say, it seemed like the positive energy started flowing into the home. The shadow people went away. So that was like in the winter. Now spring rolls around, and everything is fine. I mean, life is good. No more weird shadow type objects or shadow people. So I go in the garage to do some spring cleaning. And the garage was a little bit dark, but you could see inside. You could see what you were doing and everything. And so I'm in there maybe 20 minutes cleaning things up. I'm sweeping or something. Then I look on the far back wall, Rob, where these artifacts are piled up in a corner, right, in boxes. And I look on the back wall. You know what I see? That shadow person emanated from the back wall of the garage. So I yell into the wife, "Get your butt out here." She goes, "What? What happened? You fall down?" No, just get out of here, please. Wife comes out. And now, of course, when she comes out into the garage, the shadow person or whatever it is gone. I said, I've seen that same creepy shadow figure, image, whatever you want to call it, on the back wall of the garage. She goes, "Are you kidding me?" I go, I would not kid about that. I know how it terrified us both. So she sees nothing. So she's hanging out with me. And 5 or 6 minutes later, it emanated again and showed itself to both of us again.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, "Oh my God." I said, "Yep, that's it." I shut the garage door. I waited a couple hours, opened the garage door, sheepishly walked in because I'm scared, man. I don't know what this stuff is. I grabbed the boxes of the trinkets. I threw them in my pickup truck, and we had a dump a couple miles up the road. Back in the day, there was a place where people put their junk, and it was turned into. And today, it's a snow hill where you can go snow skiing. By the way, that's how much junk they call it Mount Trashmore where I lived.
Damn.
So yeah, people throw their crap out there. So that's what we did, and once I did that, never had that problem again. And yeah, and now in retrospect, like I said, now the things I know today, looking back at that, I don't think I did anybody any favors because I guarantee you those objects were the source of that shadow type creature. And I just wonder today if it's still lingering about, the area, right? If it's a part of that snow hill now, I just don't know. But yeah, man, that was very, very creepy.
But no more sightings at home, though.
No, nope.
Okay. So I'm feeling all your pain, and I know everybody here has seen my shadow person. But anytime I talk to someone who is involved with that, I always want to show it because the receipts, I think, tell the story. So I can say anything I want to say, but until I show you this, then it really doesn't impact you. Like
Oh,
if you
geez.
if you see that thing there, this was captured in the hallway. Well, that's actually towards the front door, but there's a light source right above where the camera is. To the left over there, where that edge of the wall is, there's a kitchen area or a dining area, and then a kitchen back over there. And I'm on the opposite end. So there's no one in this house that could even make this shadow. It doesn't fit any person in this house. Then you can see how the shadow connects itself to the floor, and there is no other source there. So, and this is a zoom in on it, but I
I
was just
got
blown away.
Man, that's creepy, man. I that It gives me chills really just looking at that thing, that image.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
talk about mine, it's kind of a shape like that, but it's the background it was emanating from was actual darkness,
yes.
and it was superseded the natural light of the light the it superseded the natural blackness of the room, right?
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
hear
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was darker than the darkness. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yes.
I'll tell you what. I usually, because my studio is if you, out to the left and through the kitchen, and we have an outside room, so that's where I have my studio set up. And I'll go through just like at this next break. I'll need to run to the restroom, and the restroom is right there where you see that doorknob. I guarantee you. You said earlier you talked about being scared. I turn that light on every time I go through there. Even if it's still light, I want to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm lighting that area where that shadow was because and I'll even when I don't turn that light on, I'll walk past and kind of look out the corner of my eye to see if I see it there. And I haven't ever seen it there since then, but it's something that really bothers me because I've recorded proof that there's something to it and that there's something there. So yeah, it till this day, till this moment, like I said, and when I go to the restroom later on this break, it will I'll turn the light on or I'll find myself looking over there to see if it's there. But it's something that bothers me so much at this point. And we've had other things attached to it, so the picture is just part of the story. We had things walking on the roof. We had recorded things that have been knocking that we recorded on the ring video. So there's other things that we think have tied into this whole culminating with the shadow person image, but pretty strange, pretty wild. But it's just one of those things. Like I was saying, once you see that something like that is possible and exists, then all of a sudden it opens you up to all the other things that come along with it. You know what I mean? Like the other layers of the onion. So it's like bananas.
I'm with you on that, Rob. I mean, I don't know that I could live there. My house, fortunately, I tell you what, had that shadow figure not leave, we would have moved. You know what I mean? And I know, and I can feel your pain turning on a light when it's light in your house. Because I just see here's when I think about that, I know that there's something present at all times, right? That shouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, Rob, you probably don't have no idea what that is.
Right. Exactly. I ask different people that have experience in this field. I show this to and ask questions on because there was a period in time like that picture was from November of 2022, so it's been about a year and a half now,
Yeah.
and I had gone pretty much all this time, a year and a half, without any further activity. Because first it started with something walking across the roof, and then and that happened for a few weeks, and then I talked to my daughter at the dinner table, brought it up to the family, like, hey, you guys been hearing some weird stuff? Because I've been hearing, and then no one else heard it but my daughter, and she's at the opposite end of the room or house, and she described, yeah, I've been hearing it sounds like someone's walking on the roof, and I'm like, okay, so we have that down. Then we have the shadow person sighting maybe 6 months later, and then nothing from then until maybe a month ago, where middle of the day I'm sitting here getting ready for maybe getting ready for a show. I do everything, and here's my man cave. But my girl she was her desk for work is right where that shadow person is shown, right next to it. So she's in there in the middle of the day, and then I'm talking to her actually on FaceTime, and she asked me, "Did I knock? Did I knock?" And I was like, "No, no, I knocked. Did you hear any knocking?" "No, I didn't hear any knocking." So I go in there to see what's going on. There's nobody else here that can knock, and I told her, check the camera. So we have a ring camera inside the house, outside the house. So in the house, in the kitchen, in the dining room, the ring camera was triggered. And as soon as it was triggered, you hear knocking like this. And immediately, and the dogs start barking. We got 4 dogs, and they all start barking crazy. And my girl, she gets up to go kind of inspect the room and kind of see what's going on. We have no explanation where the knocking came from. it was clear as a bell.
Man,
And
yeah.
but this is the first activity we had since the shadow person picture. So it's been a year and a half has elapsed with no other activity, and then boom, this happens. So it's kind of like what you were mentioning, where you had the shadow person, didn't see it for a while, and then boom, you had another encounter with it later down the line. So I don't know if it's tied. I feel like it's tied to the property here, the home, the land, because we weren't having this experience before we moved in here. So I don't think it's attached to anything that we own, but I think it's attached to this property. And the bad part about it is we own this house, so it isn't. We can't just leave. You know what I mean? So
I know what you mean, and I know all about the properties, and I know something about ghosts that have been left behind, right?
yeah,
Um, I got my brother. This is well, his first house he bought when he moved out of his apartment. He had moved in with the wife, and they had a little girl, 5 years old, and a boy about 7 years old. Okay, so they moved into this brand new house in this new subdivision, and he lived quite a distance from me. So whenever I went over there, I normally just packed a bag and spent the night or whatever, and which I made a common practice out of that for a little while when he first moved in, right? So one of the very first nights that I spent the night, now they had been living there for a couple months, and I didn't start hanging out until they got their house situated. So maybe 3 months after they moved in, I spent the night, and I'm in the bedroom, going off to sleep, going to bed, and as I'm laying in bed, Rob, the bedroom door opens up, maybe about 4 to 6 inches. There's a hallway light on, and I'm looking, and I see what appears to be my 5-year-old niece standing there, about her same height. I can make out her figure. She had long blonde hair. Now you can't tell what color it is. You see her standing there in a shadow form, right? But not like a shadow person, just the imagery, right? It's, oh, that's my niece. I say, hey, honey, you want to come sleep with Uncle Robbie when we tell you a story or something? And then the door shut, and that's it. I think nothing of that, Rob. I'm saying, yeah, whatever. She was just, inquisitive. I don't know. About a week or two later, I spend the night. Door opens. Again, it's an image of my niece. Same thing. Hey, honey, blah, blah, blah. Door shuts. The next morning, I kind of asked, hey, were you playing games with me last night? Opening my door. You've done it at least twice now. Uncle Robbie, I don't know what you're talking about. Whatever she said as a little kid. We laughed.
hmm
I said, okay, no big deal. I don't want to get her panicked. They're okay. No, I must have been dreaming. So I'm now thinking in my mind, maybe I was dreaming. But now twice this happened. Well, I got to tell you what, this happened again about 6 months later, a third time. So you know what I did, Rob? I jumped out of the bed. And after that door shut, because every time it was the same thing, door would open 6 inches, see the figure of my niece, door would shut. So this third time, I jump out of my bed. I open the door and I run down the hallway. Now, her room was probably 20 feet from my room. So I get to her door and I open up the door trying to catch her, right? Well, I got to tell you, Rob, she's in her bed, snuggled and sound asleep. In fact, she is tucked away so tight by her mom. There's no way this 5-year-old could perform that feat, right?
yeah.
So now I'm like, holy cow, I'm thinking now ghost, right? And this is already after I had the shadow person encounter. I'm older during this time. So I already know about the shadow people and all this. So I don't tell my brother and sister, my brother and my sister-in-law. That Thanksgiving, we're all gathered around the Thanksgiving table. And my mom, after the kids went off to play, we're sitting around like, family does, and we're just BSing. And my mom, out of the blue, says, I always thought that little, I was, this is not, I don't want to say her name. She, her little Sammy, she always been opening and closing my door, but it's not her. I don't know what she's doing. She's so quick, that little kid. And I'm like, Ma, that happens to me too. Yeah, she's just standing around because my mom would spend the night occasionally. My brother and sister look at me and my ma. They look at each other and they said, "Oh my God, we got to tell you guys something. We didn't want to tell you guys because we just going to handle this without telling you." Again, everyone's fear of ridicule or, "Oh my God, right, you're telling a story." So in my niece's playroom, there's French doors, and, my sister-in-law could look and see her all the time. And she would see my niece playing in the playroom, but she would stare into the closet and she would talk into the closet, communicating, talking all the time. So one day, my sister-in-law goes in the room and says, "Hey, honey, who are you talking to?" "Nobody, Mama." "Okay, all right. Well, have a good time playing." And this would go on and on. Then finally, one time, my sister says, "Hey, Lauren, who are you talking to?" Really, my sister was getting a little nervous, but all kids have playmates, made up play friends. She's by herself playing, and she tells finally, "Hey, that's my friend Jenny." "Oh," and she goes, "Yeah, and Mom, Jenny hates it when you come in here and interrupt us." And my sister looks, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, Jenny don't like grown-ups." And my sister-in-law asks, "Well, why?" "Because they're bad." "Why are they bad?" Jenny went on to tell, the ghost Jenny, I'm saying, went on to say that her family was massacred by the white man.
Wow.
Okay? And this is a little kid, 5 or 6 years old, speaking like this. Where
Yeah.
they don't talk
Getting
like
that
that at five
info,
or
yeah.
six, man. So now my sister-in-law's freaking out, calls up my brother, tells him at work. He comes home. They, of course, talking to my niece, can't figure this out. My brother starts doing some investigating. He's thinking, well, gotta be a ghost or something paranormal. He don't know. You know what I mean? Where do you go
Mm-hmm.
with something like that? Found out that the property where all this subdivision was built was on a burial ground, Indian burial ground, where Indians were in fact by murdered and massacred by cowboys, like cowboy and Indian type thing, slaughtered. This tribe was slaughtered
Damn.
and left there to die on this piece of property, which is where their home is built. And not only their home, but the entire subdivision. So they got out, Rob. They bought the house. I don't know if they rented it. I think they bought their house too. Or if they put up for sale, they got out of there. And then my brother runs into one of his neighbors just by chance at a local grocery store. He says, "Hey, I see you guys move." He goes, "Yeah, man. It's just it just wasn't for us." Then the neighbor guy asked my brother, "Was your house haunted, man?" He goes, "Well, yeah." He goes, "So is mine." He goes, "The whole neighborhood seems to have something going on." So, as it turns out, this entire subdivision, I don't think it turns over the people. It's still there. Some people live there, but I'll bet more than 50% of the population that used to live there no longer live there. I bet every other house is for sale. It's always, or now they're turned into rentals. So the whole subdivision is kind of run down now. Transient renters, that don't give a crap. So it was a beautiful subdivision at one time. Now it's just kind of run down and, well, spooky, haunted.
Yeah, spooky, haunted, all those things all wrapped up in one. And I've sat here and I thought about going to the neighbor. We're cool with the neighbors, and asking the neighbor if the people who lived here before had any experiences like that, because there were a lot of people living here when we moved here, and they were here until the moment that we closed on the house. And I just wonder, because first thing I did, part of my research into this was, it was so serious for me that I had gone and went online and looked to see if anyone had passed away at this address, if there had been any, like, anything near here that I could dig up or find, and I couldn't find anything. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, that doesn't mean that someone didn't lose their life here. Like, potentially, maybe someone was sick, and then they just passed on, and that wouldn't be potentially something that'd be on the internet somewhere recorded. So I've gone down a rabbit hole on this thing, and I've talked to paranormal ghost hunters and asked, like, what do you think I should do? Some people say, if it isn't bothering you, don't bother it. Or they're like, burn incense, or, there's all these suggestions. But I always ask, because I'm trying to find the remedy to making sure that we kind of get rid of whatever is here, because we're here for the long haul.
Well, yeah, I mean, hats off to you on that one. And, I like where you're going with that, at least, because it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, about how these things even come across our paths, right?
Yeah.
I often thought, what did I do to have a shadow person? What did I do? I knew what I did not do. I mean, that house, my brother, it was just haunted. And I think, what did I do to have this Bigfoot encounter? What did I do to have my girlfriend pass away? I mean, it just, the life is a mystery. But that's today. I accept that today, right? And I embrace it, and I move on. And it's all about knowledge and learning these things, because it's just fascinating, the things we talk about and experience.
And it just, I think, really, it should show someone who is on that side that hasn't experienced anything like this, period, when it comes to anything related to the phenomena, to be able to see someone's situation and be like, wow, okay, there might actually be something to the fact that there is this other side. So that's
Yeah.
what those people could get. But for people like us who have had the experience, it just, it's like an infinite loop, because you wonder, then what else is possible, and then, okay, well, that's possible, then what else, and you're just going down this infinite path of trying to, or being enlightened on all the other things that may be possible, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it kind of blows your mind, because everything, most of the things I thought that weren't possible prior to my own experiences, now I'm open to them. It's wild.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I said I'm open to everything. I'm open to any suggestion that people has. I'm even exploring things today, even that 20 years ago I never would have thought about. That's ridiculous. I mean, the things that you've seen, I've seen, don't make sense to me. They're very hard to process. You just don't process it overnight like after watching a movie, do you? It's almost like a real life show going on in the real world that shouldn't really be happening. I mean, I guess I always believed in ghosts, but until I seen one, I was like, whoa, they really do exist. Then I always just ask that question, why? Why does it happen to some people and not others?
Yeah, and let me see here, Lavera. Did you have a question? Because I've been looking, I ain't seen any questions from you pop up. Retype it if you have it, because I've been watching the chat and I didn't see anything. I know you had the super chat earlier. Let me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't the question. So yeah, retype it if you can, Lavera, so I can bring it up.
Yeah, and I see, and Anna says they're not spirits and ghosts. Yeah, I kind of I get the feeling for certain things, spirits and ghosts, and not being an expert in that either. I mean, it's like the spirit, I believe, was with the little girl that was hasn't crossed over.
What do you think about because we were talking about this yesterday, and Roger Murray's reminding me, the 411, missing 411, and Bigfoot. Do you see any connection to those two things,
Well,
and Dogman potentially?
when it comes to 401, I think it's everything. I think it's cryptids. I think it's people dumb getting lost in the woods. I think the human element. I think serial killers are out there in the woods stalking people. I think that it's just not. I don't. There was somebody put out a show that Bigfoot is responsible for 411. Well, that's not the case. Not for 100% of it. I think it's cryptid, paranormal, the human element. It's all people simply getting lost. Some people have no business hiking. So yeah, I think the 401 encompasses everything. I think people get lost on the other side through portals. I bet you people walk through portals in the woods, Rob, and are never found again.
Yeah, yeah, and I haven't really considered that part. That makes sense as well.
I believe that. I mean, I believe that portals exist. I believe we can transport ourselves from dimension to dimension, or other beings can. Why not be part of the 411?
So, what do you think then on the ET abduction aspect of that? Do you think people are being taken and not being brought back?
That's again. That's another part of it. I think I think I believe people get abducted, and I think they're brought back. And yes, in that sense, Rob, why would they not? Some probably aren't returned.
I think that's likely. That I mean, if they're taking people, why it would make sense. Okay, they bring some people back. We hear stories from those people because they've been brought back.
Yeah,
You can't hear the story from the person that wasn't brought back because they haven't been brought back.
yeah. Right. So how do you know exactly? So I bet you that's a part of it. It's there's so much out there in the world today that can be a part of the missing 411. We just mentioned 5 or 6. There's probably a dozen.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, like that's why I love doing this because you get to talk these things through, you get your mind working,
Oh
and you
yeah,
get to pose all these different theories, which none of them may be true or all of them may be true, and it's just being able to talk and see what the most logical explanation is. Because I'll say this to you, and I say this all the time. I think that uh, I really think that we'll be able to answer a lot of these questions using common sense and the logic that we have. Like you don't have to have a degree or any of those things to find the answers to what it is that we're looking at.
I think that's a good point. I think sometimes we do think too hard, right? Like what we just did today, just throw out some plausible ideas. I mean, that's what I'm all about. And there's nobody right, there's nobody wrong. If
Right.
somebody believes Bigfoot's flesh and blood, and I happen to think it's paranormal, cool. Let's talk. Why do you believe that? I'll tell you why I think the way I think.
There you go.
That's how we learn. I'm all about moving forward in this and not going backwards. There's too many people are taking one step forward, one step backward. There are researchers doing research for 30 years and still think that Bigfoot's an ape. Well, guess what? That's not a researcher that I'm going to follow.
Definitely.
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is Super Chat, Laverne Lucchini. We're going to ask the question. She's just curious about Bigfoot having a retractable penis, as do apes. Serious question. I'm just saying it gets cold. My opinion is it just not having hair. Thank you for taking my question seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't
Tough
know.
one, right?
That's a tough one to answer. I will say this: when I saw my Bigfoot, I didn't see any genitalia. Let me put it to you that way. It was all covered in hair.
Patterson Gimlin for you. Is it real?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And there's also Lavera Lucchini wants to know if Michigan Rob is single.
Well, yeah, I am actually. Yeah.
Boom. You hear that, Lavera? There's your answer. There's your answer. Says she loves men in bandanas, which I gotta say, man, that's why I was like, I gotta talk to Bigfoot Michigan Rob
Yeah.
because I was like, he has his bandana game on
Yes.
tonight, And
Yeah,
I always have my bandana, and it's Rob and Rob, so it's like we had to do it, man.
I got over 50 bandanas, and it's funny because Dave, I've been on the Dave's show several other times, and he always starts the show with everybody guess what color bandana is Bigfoot Rob's bandana tonight. So we get a kick out of that. But yeah, it's become my trademark.
Yeah,
in fact,
me too,
I'm coming out. Hey, listen really quickly. I'm coming out with actual BMR bandanas with like my logo on them. So they'll be ready. I'm still working on that because everyone asks me, Rob, you got to have a logo with your bandana. And I said, yeah, it's a great idea. So that's going to be coming out soon. So I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, you gotta hit me up on where you're getting that done, man. And
I will. Yeah, I tell you, it's been a trying episode. I'll let you know. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you know, buddy. No problem.
Okay, for sure. Well, please. I mean, everybody knows where to find you, but please go ahead and let them know where they can pick up more information on Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Michigan Rob.
Thanks, you guys. I am. Bigfoot Michigan Rob is my channel, and I will say this: I'm about 180 subscribers away from hitting the 4,000 mark. So if you're not subscribed already, I would appreciate that.
Let's go.
I've also written a book. It's called Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. You can find that on Amazon. That's about a collection of 40 or 45 encounters from witnesses that emailed me or talked to me personally, where I turned their encounter into a reality for the public because, again, like I spoke about earlier, I do this for the people, and these stories are in anonymity, and they're so happy that I did that for them to have their story told in another media fashion instead of coming on a show. And so that book is out there. Bigfoot Michigan Rob for all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
All right. Well, been a pleasure, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, finally meeting you. We'll definitely do this again. This is kind of, impromptu, but I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we got this one out the way. So I'll be hitting you up pretty soon. You have a good rest of your night, and take care.
All right. Thank you, man.
Later.
Bye.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and pause for the cause and get ready to hop into the last break of the night as we get ready to go into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio After Hours. I want to thank Dirty Filth also for coming through to do the artwork tonight, man. It's been appreciated. And with that being said, we'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour number three, with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. I want to thank our guest for tonight, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Really cool dude. Glad I got to meet the guy. I've always seen him on here, seen him in the chat, and just wondered when we would be able to hook up. And we did that tonight. So, been awesome. Do appreciate you guys sticking through here. And as we get into hour number 3 here, we're going to actually be joined pretty soon by Travis Moose as we get into the paranormal report. So while we wait for Travis to come through, let's check out a couple of these Spaced Out Radio commercials. We'll start with the We Don't Have Ugly swag. Make sure you guys go to spacedoutradio.com/shop and get any of the stuff you see on this commercial.
Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have Spaced Out Radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your S.O.R. swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good.
Right, and also the Reno trip, right? Less than a month away. I remember when this first came up, it was first announced. We were like 9 months out, at least. We were roughly 9 months out. It seemed like it was so far away. Now here we are. We're like 3.5 weeks away from the Reno fan party. So there's still time for you guys to go ahead and get some tickets and get signed up. I think they're even selling tickets at the door. But let's go ahead and check out the commercial for that as well.
If you love your woo, it's time to make a commitment to the 3rd annual S.O.R. fan party. This time, we're heading to Reno, Nevada and the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort, May 10th through 12th, 2024. Tickets are $60 or $100 for VIP. With that, you get a free radio show. You get to hang out with celebrity guests from Spaced Out Radio, including our team, who are coming to hang out with you. You get to meet the entire team, like Science Bob, Merle, Melinda Leslie, Geraldina Roscoe, and more. It's a weekend packed with adventure, and we want you there. After all, we're doing this for you. Find out more and get your tickets at info@spacedoutradio.com and book your hotels today at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort in Reno, Nevada. Come join us for the S.O.R. fan party, May 10th through 12th, 2024.
All right. Hope to see you there. For all those who are going to be there, it's going to be an awesome time. We're going to be doing live shows on Friday. So we're going to kick it off with the live show. Jessica, myself, and then Dave Scott. Then we're doing like an hour each. Then as soon as the live show is over, we'll be jumping into the VIP party. So Friday night, we will be VIP partying for all of those who are going to be able to attend Reno. For those who won't be able to attend Reno, definitely want to make sure that we get you guys to tune in on that Friday. And like I said, maybe you have a little mini S.O.R. fan party, gathering at your home, right? And then we'll bring you up on the screen. We'll do like a live where you can join the show or something like that, where you can come up and kind of say hey to everybody else that's down there. Maybe we could work something like that out. For those of you that are coming, bring your S.O.R. swag. Definitely bring your S.O.R. swag. I'm not sure what the contents of the swag bag are at this point. I'll check with Dave and see. But definitely want to make sure that you bring your stuff. And maybe you can get a Dave Scott autograph. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some pens on hand. And Dave Scott can go ahead and sign your Dave Scott panties and Dave Scott draws, right? Because those are in the S.O.R. store. You have a few weeks to get them. If you order them now, whatever you order should be here, I would think, before Reno. Don't hold me to it, but I would think 3.5 weeks should be decent enough time to get your merch. So please consider that. All right, so with that being said, I'm still waiting for our guy here. So he should be here pretty shortly. So this is what we'll do for now. We'll go ahead and jump into some Lon Strickler, PhantomandMonster.com. Go ahead and read a story from there, and then we may have our guy Travis Moose Juice in here by then. So let's go ahead and see what we can bring up. Give me just a second here as I do this. Boom, boom. All right, and this kind of goes actually along with what we were talking about today. So let me bring up the screen here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this story up real quick, and we'll read it out as we wait for our guy here. Give me just a second. Phantoms and monsters. Okay, so story is the Indiana driver injured by green-eyed wolfman near Indianapolis. Let's go ahead and create a mood for this, right? All right, so as it goes, Indiana driver injured by green-eyed wolfman near Indianapolis. A dark, fur-covered wolfman jumps in front of the witness's vehicle. The beast has a terrible odor. Deep green eyes, and a long snout. The beast swipes at and injures the witness. And this is what Lon Strickler received, this account. I wish to keep my name to myself, but I'm willing to provide my account of what happened. This is a first-hand account of an encounter that I had with the creature of unknown origin. It was about 5 years ago. Late night, I went for a walk in the dark to clear my head one night when I got the feeling that I was being followed. Before I could say anything, a dark, fur-covered creature lunged out of the nearby bushes. It looked like a large man crossed with a wolf. It had deep green eyes and an elongated snout. The thing smelled like a rotting deer carcass, and it was very heavy. It slammed into me, knocking me to the ground, where it stood over me and growled as it looked in my face. I kicked it, and it yelped before swiping at me, cutting my arm with its sharp claw. I was sure it was going to kill me. But then a noise similar to a car with a broken muffler backfiring scared it, and the creature ran away. Strangely, my arm no longer felt like it was bleeding, and the cut wasn't hurting anymore. My shirt sleeve was torn, but when I wiped away the wet blood from my arm, there wasn't even a scratch left behind. I was sure that it was just a bad dream, so I headed back home. I never reported this because I was certain that nobody would believe me, and because it has been haunting me every day since. I haven't seen this creature since it ran off into the woods when that sound scared it off, but I sometimes worry that it might come back. I also don't know why the scratch on my arm was gone moments after the thing ran off. Everything I found about it online has said it was a werewolf, but I don't think those things are real. It also isn't like the Dogman or any other similar kind of creature. If you've heard anything like this, I would be interested to hear about it. Thank you. And the note on this is that this incident occurred in the Indianapolis area. No location specifics were offered since the witness wanted to remain anonymous. The blood may have already been on the creature's claws, and transferred to the witness, even though the sleeve was cut. The green eyes are unusual for a canine. Maybe it was a shapeshifter. Your thoughts are welcome. Lon. All right, we're going to get into another one here. 3 U.S. Army Infantry Bigfoot encounters at Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington. 3 brief but interesting Army Infantry Bigfoot encounter accounts that occurred at or near Fort Lewis Army Base, now Joint Base Lewis McChord, in the 1960s, 1970s. In 1966, in Pierce County, Washington, at Fort Lewis Army Base, which is Joint Base Lewis McChord, my sighting occurred on February 27, 1966, while stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington. It was me and 4 other men out on survival training in the Nisqually River Basin, about 30 miles south of Tacoma, Washington. We decided to go to the river that day to catch some fish. As we approached the river, we could see the creature was kneeling by the water. Then, as we walked towards it, the creature stood up on 2 legs and looked at us, then turned and walked into the river and swam easily to the other side. When it reached the other side, it turned towards us and looked for about 10 minutes. Then it turned and walked into the forest. The thing that got our attention was the way it moved. It walked for about 8 yards on 2 legs, just like a man. We stood and watched it. I would say initially it was only 10 to 20 feet from us. We could see it very clearly. Where it stood. It was 8 feet tall and had kind of reddish brown hair covering most of its body except for its hands and face. The head was the shape of a man. It appeared to have no neck. The mouth was large with protruding lips. We saw no teeth. It did not bare its teeth. Its nose was quite large and lay flat against its face. The encounter lasted 20 minutes, and not once during this time was there any sign of aggression. It seemed more curious than aggressive. We returned to our camp more amazed than fearful. Now here's another one from Fort Lewis Army Base in 1978. My name is Carol, and I'm about to tell you about my domestic partner, Tim. He is in the 9th Infantry Division, 3rd Battalion, 47th Infantry Combat Support Recon Platoon in North Fort Lewis. He was an aggressor detail in the Mount Rainier training area. It was late one night, and he wanted to get off alone. He walked off the ways from his army bud so he could have a smoke and eat something. He was crouching down and had some small pieces of wood so he could heat up his beef stew. Then he felt he was being watched by someone. He turned around, and only a few feet away, leaning against the tree, was this Bigfoot. He didn't seem afraid. He just stared at Tim. The Bigfoot was tall and slender. Tim thought that the creature was probably very young. Tim also said the Bigfoot had the reddest eyes he'd ever seen, and to the best of his knowledge, they could have been bloodshot eyes. Tim said he chose that area to relax because there was some green moss on the ground. He stopped at that point to smoke and heat up his can of stew. His stint in the Army was from 1977 to 1979 at Fort Lewis. He never told any military what he saw because he thought they wouldn't believe him. But Tim would never make up this story. He's a quiet, private person who usually keeps everything to himself. He gave me permission to use his real name, which is Timothy R. Reyes. His rank was Spec 4. Here's another Fort Lewis Army base account. We marched out the day before and built a 3-rope bridge for the Rangers. It was in the training area northwest of old C-5 mock-up or training aircraft. It was oddly clear and the moon was bright. A fellow soldier and I were sitting in a foxhole around 4 a.m. in the morning when my buddy suddenly exclaimed, "What the hell is that?" When I looked directly in front, about 25 yards, I witnessed something that scared me. It was a human form, 7 to 8 feet tall, walking with a slight hunch about the shoulder and making a low grunting noise. This thing was just unbelievable. There was a slight musky odor, but not too bad. It smelled like a wet dog. Anyways, my friend and I told our story to our squad leader, and he just laughed. He spoke to our first sergeant, and we were known as, quote, the 2 Bigfoot hunters after that. We wouldn't mention it anymore. But listen up, folks. There are things out there on the base that are unimaginable. I always said that I would have to see it to believe it. Well, guess what? I saw it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a couple stories from Lon Strickler, PhantomandMonsters.com. Make sure you guys go over and support the channel, the website as well. Website has a lot of awesome stories there. The YouTube page, he actually goes over some of these accounts, so make sure you guys go out and support Lon Strickler and PhantomandMonsters.com. With that being said, we're going to go ahead, as you see on the screen, we're going to be joined by the paranormal reporter with our guy Travis Moostus. So let me go ahead and bring the gentleman in for the night. Travis, how are you tonight?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm sorry I showed up a little bit later. I got confused with the dates time and this time. So
You're good, man. I do it all the time. So, yeah, it's all good. So, Travis, man, okay. We had a show today, and I guess we could kind of I just wanted to ask you this, because the guest we had Bigfoot Michigan Rob on, and he was talking about some of the First Nations, some of the Native American tribes look at Bigfoot as a protector of the people, and then some look at Dogman as protector of the people. Do you have any experience with either one of those as far as what maybe your tribe believes as far as that goes?
Yeah, actually, I've talked a lot of times about how a few ceremonies that I've been involved in.
One second, Travis. Is there something happened to your voice? Maybe try leaving out, come back in. That's what happens when you go live, guys. Live is not an easy thing. Let me just tell you that. Being live is not an easy thing. It's not as easy as it seems. We'll wait for Travis to come back in. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Yeah. So make sure you guys go and support Lon Strickler. Make sure you go and support Travis Moostus, who has a few awesome books out. He's pumping them out like every other day now. You know what I mean? So make sure you guys get in on the Travis Moostus library early, because he's going places. The guy's going places. Let me check the chats. See what we got going on here. Oh, okay. I almost missed this here. Super sticker from CS. Appreciate your support of Spaced Out Radio, CS. I do appreciate you. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know about trivia tonight, Deb. Let's see. Toot, toot, toot. All right, here. Let's give it a shot here. It is worse. It's worse. Yeah, I think it's that headset. It's the same thing from last time. Now I can't hear you. Talk. Nope, can't hear you. Let me do this. Okay, talk. Nope. Thinking the headset messed it up. So, yeah, just hit the refresh button on the browser. It'll kick you out and bring you right back in. But I think what happened with your, and I'll tell you about it when you come back. Go ahead and hit the refresh button. Yeah, I think it's just an issue because he had the headset connected and then now he disconnected it. So he has to kind of refresh it again. But, yep, thank you, CS, for the super sticker. We do appreciate your support of Spaced Out Radio. Tomorrow, man said, get a dry erase board, Travis, so you just draw what you're saying here. Yeah, Anna, doing live. Yeah, and it should work, and that's the way we're going to do it when he comes back in. But I think that headset he has should work. Yes. So I'm looking through the chat. If anybody has anything to say, any questions or anything, go ahead and ask them while we wait. And I will answer them. Joe Mug, you are crazy for this, dude. LOL. Lol. Your girlfriend dumped me, so you stole a weird chair. Guess who came crawling back? Oh my god. I shouldn't be laughing at that, I don't think. But it's freaking hilarious, Joe. That's the kind of humor I like. I like all humor, but that's pretty funny. Ooh, you want to go there, Derek Galloway? Prayers is all I have to say. One word, prayers. That's it. Prayers, healing energy. Was that 3 words? 3 words for you. Prayers, healing energy, and yeah. Yep. Blue Cruise, thanks for coming on in. Saying, hey, tomorrow, man, you're welcome. S.O.R. After Hours on the weekend is my woo fix. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Yeah, sounded squirrely. I'm going to tell you what I think that is. You think it's 2 things at once? I think if he unpairs it and then repairs it back to that device, whatever device he's using, I think he'll be okay. I used to do troubleshooting way back in the day, so I think if he you start off with doing that, the easiest thing first. Less invasive, right? Yeah, it should work. It should work, Paramore. I think that's all that's wrong because this headset is brand new. But hey, guess what? We're hanging out with each other right now. It's awesome, and we just keep moving. We keep the thing going and let Travis work through his stuff. Maybe we can get into. Let me find a good one here. Oh. Okay, we're gonna take a look at this one. This one is let me bring myself forward. This one sounds interesting. Lion-like creature and UFO appear at same location near Auburn, Alabama. I'm going to read this one to you because this one seems pretty interesting. So, a retired security guard describes two incidents at the same location but a month apart. First, he sees an African lion-like creature cross the road. Then he later sees a triangular UFO. A month apart. And this is what Lon Strickler received, the story he received. He received the following account. It says, I wanted to share something with you. I'm 71 years old, and I've done a lot of security guard work. I go to work about 9 o'clock at night when I was working, and there's just one stretch of the road in Alabama that it's like, you're going to think I'm nuts. I've always been kind of a believer, but I never really seen something so solid. But I saw these three lights, and I thought it was a guy with an ultralight who lived not far from here. He had an ultralight in the field. I said, what is this idiot doing out with an ultralight at night? Because it's about 9:30 at night. Well, it kept coming, and I slowed down. I never stopped, and it went over me. There were these three lights. It was about the size of an ultralight, but there was no sound, and it was about as high up as 2 telephone poles above me. It went right across me and just drifted out of sight. At the same spot about a month before, I had to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting what I thought was a dog, but it was huge. It had a lion's mane, and the rest was kind of more like a dog. Kind of like that thing you've seen on YouTube where the guy dresses up his dog like a lion and it scares people. He was coming from the same direction as this triangular thing, but was about a month or so before. He just crossed the road and went up on the fence, went up to the fence on the other side and just disappeared to the south. So I don't know if it's one place that something's coming out of there, or that's just where my body chose to shut down and I went totally insane. I could never tell anybody. There was nothing there but the sky, a dark black, there was nothing there but the sky, a dark black sky with these three lights. I told a couple of people when I got to work what I saw, but they know I'm crazy, and then they thought I was nuts. And the creature, whatever it was like twice the size of, I guess it was like a big St. Bernard or something. And it looked at me and just went across the road, up the fence, and it was going. And this all happened in the exact same spot on this road. I know where it was, and I don't know if it's correlated, but at the same time of the night, I was on my way back to work because I had a schedule I had to keep. I live about 250 miles from there now. I live down on the Gulf Coast. This happened in the middle of the state, not far from Auburn, Alabama. Okay, that's awesome. Awesome little story there. go ahead and see if we could find a good one here. All right. Looks like we may have our guest back better than ever. Let's give it a shot. Travis, we sounding good?
Whoa! Is it
Oh,
working?
there we go. There we go, buddy. We're back. We're back.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and bring this down here. So, yeah, just going back here. So yeah, I was talking to the guest earlier, and he was, kind of mentioning the fact that some of the native tribes look at Bigfoot as the protector and not, something that would harm us, versus Dogman, which some view as protector. I was just wondering, like, within your tribe, how are those creatures looked at, or either one of them look as protectors? And maybe we can start there.
All right. Well, so for example, for the Bigfoots, I can talk from experience. I've been a part of ceremonies that had Bigfoots like interact with them or be a part of or take place with them. Like, for example, like spirits of Bigfoots even entered in our sweat lodges for some of the healing ceremonies. The ones that I was like the major ones that I was on, like, sorry for that, but like I was doing a vision quest, a couple, like I should say more than maybe more than 15 years ago now or so. No, actually way more than that. It's like probably more than 20 years ago now. And but when I was doing that quest, we were doing a few ceremonies before that, a few sweat lodges, and when we were having our ceremonies, we're hearing all sort of Bigfoots making themselves known, I should say, during the ceremonies. And my uncle at the time was hosting the vision quest, so he was there. He was our guide, like our guide through it all, and he was like telling us that they're going to protect us on that spiritual barrier. Like they're going to help keep out all the darker spirits from coming to take our life, kind of deal. And so it was a kind of very spiritual kind of like protection, I should say. Not really, not like a spirit, like when people think like, oh, it's there, it's going to come and beat things up like out of the woods for you or whatever. But it's like on a spirit, like it was on a spiritual plane. It was there for us, like to keep away a lot of the other things that, would want to come and take our lives, kind of deal. So, so they were there, and it was pretty unique kind of thing, because the trees that were knocked down were all like split, like singularly, like they all made one big bang after another. So there was four of them, four sounds, like, and that was just to signify that there was four of them there, because there was there was about four of us that were doing the quest, right? So it was a very unique experience in that sense. And what else was I going to say? For the Dogman, it could be kind of tricky, because for one, it could be a spirit, a trickster spirit, shapeshifter, and sometimes those beings can look half man, half human, or they will take that humanoid looking, kind of like animal humanoid looking shape, and all of a sudden they're speaking to you through telepathic means. But if it's a malicious spirit from like, say, a darker realm, and say these people have done a bad ceremony to, and that thing now possesses them, and they've turned into this creature, that's a whole other tale and a whole other subject, right? But that's been a thing that could happen. They're like, not all of our I'm saying, not all the tribes practiced, like I should say, like some of them went dark, they went to a darker paths and stuff, right? So we always follow the paths of light and paths of the universe and healing, and our our guardians are along those higher vibrational realms and ultra terrestrials, right? Of the extraterrestrials, and I should say, that's where a lot of like I said, a lot of the teachings come from, is from the star nations and the star spirits, right? So like we're very much aligned with that, right? So like these dogmen and darker entities and darker, I should say, darker ways. We're not too but we're not too fond of them, I should say, or you know what I mean. Like, so if there was a dogman or an evil one, we'd probably have to like hunt it down or track it down and take care of it in that sense. Look at my cats just flashing inside.
Well, let me ask you this. So that was an excellent answer as well. Do you have you had? 'Cause I know a month or so ago, you had been catching these awesome things on camera. Have you had? Have you been out lately? Have you had a chance to catch anything new or?
Not as of like not the cap. I'm gonna be getting more footage though, but I haven't really had time to be spending like outside too much. But like for as of lately, it's been very much like an overcast over area, so I've been getting a lot of like rain and mixed like winds and stuff like that. So it's been kind of interesting. But the days that it is clear, a lot of aurora borealis going on, northern lights like happening. So I get a lot of that. But you know, the people like that were keeping watch with me, they tell me like they're like, yeah, I had a flyby the other night and stuff like that. So you know, it's still active. It's just I haven't caught any yet. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that this week though. So you know, we'll see if I can get something on camera for next Sunday.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Especially even with the aurora borealis. I mean, we don't get to see that down where we are. So it would be awesome to just even have video of that. You know what I mean? And yeah, you and Dave Scott are the lucky ones in filth. You guys get to see that. We don't.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I had this real sweet image of one, and it looks like this twisting dragon in the sky. It literally looks like a dragon. No manipulation done to the photo at all. I was just like, look at that beautiful green dragon there. You know, it's just it's epic. So I gotta show. I'll probably send that one. I'll bring that on next week to show anyway. You know, I'll bring that.
Okay, and Anna wanted to know she asked earlier. I don't know if I have the question up here. She just wanted to know what tribe you were from.
Yeah, I'm we are the Neo and Neowak, the people of four directions of the universe, and but what society called us over time, like they named us the Cree people, and we never named ourselves that. That kind of, like I said, that was kind of given from the modern day society, or I should say, there for what they call us in history, because like I don't know what we still don't know what that stands for, like Cree. I think it's a French word or something, but like I said, we know what we are. We're called the Neo and Neowak, and yeah. So I just figured I'd mention that, and yeah. So
Neo and Neowak.
Yeah, Neo and Neowak. Yeah.
Neo and Neowak. Okay, I got it. I got it. It's in here now.
Yes. And Neo is four in number 4 in our language. So I just figured
Neo and Neowak. Okay. Castle Dude wants to know if you could a beaver man exist? Do you know anything about a beaver man?
You know, like, you know, there is that kind of there's like tales like that, right? But it would be like the guy would actually transform into like a real beaver. He'd just be a beaver and just kind of like go into the water. You know what I mean? And then like there's other people who have a spirit of a beaver man, and like they're very like very much connected with those. He's just slapping my necklace. But anyway, those people are very much connected with like I should say the beavers in the ponds, and like I should say, like, you know, it's just like their spirit animal in the sense. So you know, it's which is, you know, very good spirit animal to should have, and you know, and but as I was saying though, like, you know, that is like a tale that some people like do turn into some of these like other kind of animals out there, and have that kind of, you know, I should say they're able to go amongst the animal society, or at different enter different kingdoms like that, right? And switching bodies and switching, but like I said, they just become like, from a human being, they just become like a beaver or whatever, like mouse or something, you know.
Bananas. So outside of that, did you have? I mean, what's the latest? Do you have anything? What are you into? I know you got the new book. We talked about that. What is the latest? Like, do you go anywhere to promote the book, or like do you have anything that you set up for like a press run?
Yeah, so other than like taking them to like local areas like flea markets or like selling them out of the back of my truck and stuff, I do have a few gatherings lined up. Like me and Phil were talking about getting a table together and for July 14th, I believe, or something like that it was. But before that, even June 21st of this year is the centennial, so 150 years of the Treaty 8 being signed. My great grandfather Hidman must have signed the treaty in June 21st, 1899. So
wow.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna be there honoring that, and I'm gonna have a little table set up there with paintings and like all of the books, and I'm gonna even have like a little cosplay going on of me as of the main character. I'm building a suit for it, so I'll be there signing books in the suit kind of deal, and yeah, it'll be kind of cool, right? I figured.
Heck yeah. So, and Dirty Filth was on earlier tonight, so I forgot to. I don't know. I don't think he knew you were coming in tonight, but it was awesome last week, man. We got to hear from Filth. The perspective on the art. I think it was a really awesome show that we did last weekend. What were your thoughts leaving out of that? Have you had a chance to watch it back? And how do you feel about what we did the other week?
Oh, I felt really great about it. Yeah, it gives art, and talking about art, there's a lot of different avenues because it is very spiritual in itself. Like even like the spirit, even spirituality is an art in itself. So just like the whole getting to talk about it and bring that energy in is always an excellent time. As I was gonna say though, that's totally cool. Like I'm so happy that I was able to talk about that and bring up all these different cool little things about like the knowledge of like some of the art and meanings and things that we share with them and societies. And yeah, it's and how much we carry that with us and how much it means to us. Like art is pretty much everything. Everything. Even the chair only looks that way because the designer, the artist had that thought, right? So it's like it's how everything comes to be, right? So it's like it has to happen in that realm before it takes place in reality. So it's like it's a whole other realm of existence, I feel. But so.
And I don't know if you can see the question on the screen, but Anna was asking, do you ever come near Peterborough? I'm not sure where that even is.
Sorry, no, I couldn't see it, but no, I don't know. I've never heard of that place ever before.
Okay. And so Little Cam wants to know, how do you properly spell Neo-Inuit?
Like NIHEIOWAK, something like that. It's a long word, but like I said, that's just like I should say like that's just like using our English alphabet to make it up, right? We wouldn't necessarily write it like that. It would be more like kind of like triangles and little circles, and like kind of it's a different kind of writing, right? So it's just just look up Neo, and right? Like just sound that out and spell that out, or just go type in Cree. But yeah, it is. We spell words very differently. Even all the languages, there's like how many different types of Crees? You get different dialects. You get Y dialects and different kind of So like there's different I should say languages of Cree. Not all of them are the same.
All right. That is awesome. And let me see. It says it's outside. I guess it's a bit northeast of Toronto, outside Quebec, 5.5 hours away, 2.5 hours from Toronto. So yeah. So he doesn't know, but let me see here. We have any other questions? Any other questions for Travis?
It could also be spelled like Neyo, Neo-Luck, like there's Neo, and like there's a bunch of different ways people said it, pronounced it, and said spelt it. But you go look it up. There's I'm just trying to remember what I'm just trying to remember what's a great source for that. But yeah, you just look it up. You'll find it out there.
Okay. All right. And so, yeah, let me go ahead and do this, Travis. I want to know if you have anything interesting that you want to let the audience know. Because right now we got about 7 minutes, and it gives us time to go ahead and get it wrapped up.
Oh, yeah. So, everything's, like I said, it's spring. So all the bugs and everything are coming back. So, and I'm seeing all the birds and everything. So, it's just a matter of time before I get back out in the woods and start, getting some of these, areas checked out again and start inspecting some of these things myself. For what people were saying, like when they were saying, there's these things walking or following them in the woods and stuff. I've been looking at these areas and wanting to get more deeper and checking some of this stuff out myself. But yeah, no, that's what's been on my mind. And and like I said, getting more of the captures of the beings that are flying above, the visitors from above, and they're always around. And it's a spectacular time. A lot of anomalies happening all around the world, and just to keep your eyes out for that. And it's an excellent time to be alive, everyone. Stay happy. And thank you for watching and tuning in.
And you have, like you think you said it best. I mean, there really isn't a lot of action or a lot of activity, it seems like, in the first part of the year. So here we are, this is month 4. We're in spring. Things are heating up. People are going out, getting outside. So I guess we probably, and I'll say this. As far as just sightings and things go, I think that it feels like activity should be picking up here just in the conversation in general, because it's been dead all year. We haven't really had any big news come through, but I actually predicted this. I said at the end of the year, we did the resolutions for 2024, the look into 2024, and I felt like it was going to be a slow start to the year. And I figured right about April is when we would have started getting something. So that lines up with what people are experiencing when they're going out, because they're getting outside and going into the woods. And so things will start to pick up, more sightings on cryptids and things like that. So I think things should probably start ramping up from here. So I don't know how you feel about that. Oh, Travis is frozen. Okay, that's okay. If you can hear us, Travis, that's okay. We'll go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. We got like 4 minutes left here. And, it's not, look, if we could barely live stream right here on Earth, that's what I'm talking about, the moon, dude. Like, are you sure we had a live broadcast from the moon in 1969? Flawless live stream, or broadcast, I guess you'd call it, from the moon on a one-shot thing. No hiccups, but then we can do a live stream in 2024 and run into all sorts of issues, right? I don't know. It's just a theory. It's just something I'm thinking about. But I don't know. All right, guys. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get up out of here. We got like 2 minutes. We'll fill those 2 minutes in, rocking these commercials a couple more times. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So let's start it off with Reno and then do Ugly Swag. We'll do it in reverse. Here we go.
If you love your woo, it's time to make a commitment to the 3rd annual S.O.R. fan party. This time, we're heading to Reno, Nevada and the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort, May 10th through 12th, 2024. Tickets are $60 or $100 for VIP. With that, you get a free radio show. You get to hang out with celebrity guests from Spaced Out Radio, including our team, who are coming to hang out with you. You get to meet the entire team, like Science Bob, Merle, Melinda Leslie, Geraldina Roscoe, and more. It's a weekend packed with adventure, and we want you there. After all, we're doing this for you. Find out more and get your tickets at info@spacedoutradio.com and book your hotels today at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort in Reno, Nevada. Come join us for the S.O.R. Fan Party, May 10th through 12th, 2024.
So excited about the trip coming up here. Coming very, very soon. Can't wait to see all you guys there. It's going to be fantastic. Now let's check out the ugly swag, because you can't come to the S.O.R. party unless you're rocking some of the best swag. And you can get that at spacedoutradio.com/shop. Run
Hey
it.
everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have Spaced Out Radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your S.O.R. swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good.
Make yourself look good. That's right. So let's see. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and thank all our super chatters for the night. We had Lavera Lucchini. We had Deb from Sacramento. We had Lavera Lucchini again. Then we had Foxy Joe. Then we had Lavera Lucchini again. Killing it. Then we had CS. So I want to just thank everybody for supporting, man, and coming in, right? Live show. It's not pre-recorded. Think of things that happen, right? You can usually go, shows and shows and shows without running into any hiccups, but then sometimes you have them, man. It's just the nature of live streaming. So with that being said, I definitely appreciate you guys coming in. Definitely thank our guests for tonight, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Pleasure meeting the guy. Think he's pretty cool. Travis Moostus, thanks for even trying to come on in and support the show. We appreciate you. Internet happens, man. Jeff Garvey, want to thank you so much for your support of Spaced Out Radio. And we're going to go ahead and do it like this, right? Since you're already a space traveler, consider taking the next step and join the club. $5 per month. You can go to our Patreon, the S.O.R. Space Travelers Club. Join the club. Just join the club. That way you can get all sorts of benefits and things that are offered through the Patreon. Outside of that, to all the viewers and listeners across the globe, I definitely want to thank you for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, you ask? We own the night. Want you guys to rock out to Bumblefoot on our brand new outro. Let me know what you think in the comments. Watch it all the way through. And we're out of here. Till next time. Dave will have, I believe, Samantha Mowat on tomorrow. Make sure you're back here for that. But then next weekend, we're going to do it all again. We're going to make sure we get it in. It'll be one more week closer to the Reno trip. We're going to have an awesome time. Not because I'm awesome, because you're awesome. So with that being said, you guys have a great rest of your night. Until then, take care.